Chapter 729. As soon as she finished speaking, Yao Qingyun gently lifted her finger and pressed it down on Ning Fan. That finger contained an indescribable mystery. It was as if the power of the surrounding hundreds of cultivation planets had been summoned by that finger. Boundless great force pressed down on Ning Fan's body. It was enough to easily crush him into ashes. Unfortunately, Yao Qingyun could not hurt Ning Fan. Her control of her strength was extremely exquisite. She would not cause any harm to Ning Fan. She just wanted to borrow the momentum to force Ning Fan to the ground and make him kneel down in front of everyone to apologize to the Yao clan. Ning Fan's entire body was in extreme pain, as if his bones and tendons would shatter at the next moment. However, they did not shatter and he was not injured at all. It was as if he was carrying the entire starry sky on his shoulders. The weight was not something he could bear. His knee bones were gradually unable to withstand the pressure. His wings softened and he almost fell to the ground. "You can't kill me, so you want me to kneel and humiliate me?" Ning Fan's face was as pale as a sheet of paper. His eyes, however, were as calm as a bottomless abyss. They were black and pure without any ripples. Gritting his teeth, Ning Fan clenched his fists and straightened his back. He looked at Yao Qingyun with a mocking smile. He would not kneel. Bang, bang, bang. It was the sound of the bones in Ning Fan's body being crushed. Even the Black Star art was unable to resist that collapse because the gap between his and Yao Qingyun's realms was too great. His skin was crushed and his blood quickly dyed his white robes red. The pain was unbearable, but Ning Fan acted as if he could not feel it at all. "You hurt me." He patted his storage pouch, took out the death exemption token and held it up high. Yao Qingyun's pretty face darkened. She just wanted to humiliate Ning Fan, not hurt him. Since Ning Fan had the death exemption order, she could not hurt him. Otherwise, she would be violating the rules of the palace. However, she did not expect that Ning Fan would rather break all of his bones than kneel to her. These injuries to the tendons and bones were not ordinary injuries that could be healed by consuming medicinal pills. This was an injury caused by the general trend and was extremely difficult to heal. Wasn't Ning Fan going to participate in the disciple recruitment competition? How could he participate after suffering such heavy injuries? He would rather give up the tournament than kneel? Or could it be that he only wants to use his own injuries to drag me into breaking the law? Yao Qingyun clenched her teeth angrily. Since Ning Fan had taken out the death immunity token in front of everyone, all the more she could not hurt him in front of everyone. With a point of his finger, the aura that filled the sky disappeared. With light and graceful steps, Yao Qingyun walked towards Ning Fan step by step. When she was in front of Ning Fan, she pointed her finger at his forehead. All of a sudden, a warm magical power flowed into Ning Fan's body, healing his internal injuries at a shocking speed. Elder Qingyun is truly considerate. Knowing that this lowly one is heavily injured, you helped this lowly one heal. I will remember this kindness in my heart. Ning Fan smiled mockingly. Yao Qingyun's face darkened. She gritted her teeth and ignored Ning Fan. She had no choice but to treat Ning Fan's injuries. According to the rules of the palace, no one was allowed to hurt the holder of the death exemption order. Those who disobey the order would have their cultivation base crippled and be imprisoned in the blood prison forever. Although she was an elder, she could not disobey the order. Otherwise, her cultivation would be destroyed by the Shadi and she would be imprisoned in the blood dungeon forever. Humiliation, what a humiliation. Ning Fan was her enemy and he was just an ant. She could kill Ning Fan with just a lift of her finger, but she was tricked by Ning Fan. She could neither kill Ning Fan nor hurt him. Moreover, she had to treat his injuries. Elder Qingyun's finger is very cold. It seems like your body is a little weak. Could it be that you made a mistake in your cultivation recently and suffered a backlash? Ning Fan was still looking at Yao Qingyun with a cold smile. After hearing Ning Fan's mocking words, Yao Qingyun's delicate body trembled and her expression became even colder. Indeed, she had made a mistake in her cultivation recently and suffered some backlash. When she was at a critical juncture in her seclusion, she received the news that the Yao clan was massacred. Her state of mind was instantly in chaos and she made a mistake in her cultivation. At the end of the day, Ning Fan was the one who caused her injuries. Yao Qingyun pressed her soft finger on Ning Fan's forehead. When her finger touched Ning Fan's skin, she felt extremely uncomfortable. She did not like to have physical contact with any man, especially Ning Fan, who was her enemy. Traces of warm magical power flowed into Ning Fan's body, healing his injuries one by one. After a long time, Yao Qingyun withdrew her finger and took out an embroidered handkerchief. Then, she wiped her finger with disgust. Since her finger had touched Ning Fan, she felt that it was dirty. Ning Fan sneered. Initially, he wanted to use his injuries to frame Yao Qingyun for violating the law. However, he did not expect that this woman would actually endure the humiliation to heal his injuries. Now, his plan was in vain. While Yao Qingyun was wiping her finger, Ning Fan intentionally touched his forehead and touched the place where Yao Qingyun touched. Then, he sniffed his finger and muttered to himself, "It smells so good. The fragrance of wild ginger flowers. You are courting death." Yao Qingyun was so angry that she laughed. Her expression was so cold that it could freeze the people of a cultivation planet to death. She loved wild ginger flowers. When she bathed, she often put wild ginger flowers in her body. Therefore, her skin naturally carried a trace of its fragrance. "I have massacred the Yao clan. It's understandable that Elder Qingyun wants to take revenge for your clan. However, I hope that Elder Qingyun can think of a way to take revenge. The method of humiliation like what you did today is really too inferior." Ning Fan stopped smiling and his expression returned to his cold expression. With a flick of his sleeve, the blood-red robe on his body was instantly changed into a brand new white robe. Then, he did not look at Yao Qingyun again. He directly walked past Yao Li and entered the slaughter city. Yao Li gloomily looked at Ning Fan's back without saying anything. Yao Qingyun, on the other hand, rubbed her fingers in shame and indignation until the skin on her fingers was scratched and blood flowed out. Only then did the anger in her heart subside. Yes, the method used to humiliate Ning Fan today was really too despicable. What's the point of asking Ning Fan to kneel down in front of everyone? It was meaningless. Due to a moment of carelessness, he fell into Ning Fan's trap and almost violated the law of the slaughter palace. I lost my sense of propriety for a moment. Next time, I won't let him have it easy. Yao Qingyun gradually calmed down, and there wasn't a trace of surprise on her pretty face. She walked towards Yao Li step by step and said in a cold tone, "There are less than 2 years before the competition. I can send someone to help you break through to the middle stage of the human profound realm within 2 years, but the process will be very dangerous. Are you willing?" Hearing this, Yao Li was overjoyed. Yao Li is willing. If Yao Li can break through to the middle stage of the human profound realm before the competition, then I'm confident that I can kill that Qianqiu kid in the competition. Very well, you can leave now. Don't look for trouble with that Qianqiu brat before the tournament. Later, I will send someone to your side to help you improve your cultivation base. As soon as she finished speaking, Yao Qingyun's body suddenly turned into a green cloud of light and disappeared without a trace. Yao Li cupped his fists respectfully and sent Yao Qingyun away. After Yao Qingyun left, his eyes were filled with unconcealable excitement. In the past, when the Yao family was still around, even though Yao Qingyun also supported the Yao family, she only gave them material help. Occasionally, she would give them some Dao crystals and pills. When someone in the Yao family became an immortal, she allowed them to use the blood pool in the slaughter palace to increase their chances of becoming an immortal by 5%. Other than these basic help, Yao Qingyun had never given the Yao family any other help. Her attitude towards the Yao family was extremely cold. After all, she was expelled from the Yao family when she was young. It was impossible for her not to resent her. Today, however, Yao Qingyun sent someone to help Yao Li break through to the next realm. Obviously, she wanted to focus on nurturing him. After all, Yao Li was the last descendant of the Yao family. How could Yao Li not be happy? For the first time, he felt that Ning Fan really did him a great favor by annihilating the Yao family. After losing the Yao family as his backer, he gained Yao Qingyun as his backer. Yao Li could not help but laugh heartily. It's great that the Yao family was annihilated. If the experts of the Yao family knew that Yao Li, whom they had wholeheartedly nurtured, was actually cheering for their deaths, I wonder how they would feel in the underworld. Ning Fan walked on the long street of the slaughter city. Each and every cultivator who passed by looked at him with different expressions. Some of them were cultivators who were participating in the competition. Their eyes were filled with respect. Some of them were cultivators of the slaughter palace. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. The news of the first confrontation between Ning Fan and Yao Qingyun spread across the entire city at an extremely fast speed. All the cultivators of the slaughter palace heard about it. Elder Qingyun personally attacked Ning Fan, wanting to humiliate him. However, he was humiliated by Ning Fan instead. The dignified elder Shikong was actually humiliated by a void fragmentation realm junior. This news was just too unbelievable. The slaughter city was divided into the inner city and the outer city. The blood palace of the slaughter palace was located in the inner city. The venue of the grand competition was also in the inner city. Before the grand competition begins, other than the cultivators of the palace, no other cultivators were allowed to enter the inner city. Ning Fan took a stroll around the outer city and went to the auction house in the outer city. He sold all of the countless magic treasures that he had on him to the auction house. Those were the magic treasures of countless life immortal realm and void fragmentation realm experts. To Ning Fan, they were not very useful. However, they were quite important to ordinary cultivators. After destroying the Yao clan and slaughtering all the immortal cultivators, Ning Fan had obtained quite a number of high-grade cultivation methods. After making a copy for himself and keeping it for himself, he sold all of them. After selling his treasures, Ning Fan instantly obtained 100 billion Dao crystals. In the past, Ning Fan spent money like flowing water. The reason why he did not feel bad about it was because he had no choice but to spend that money. If he kept it on him, it would be a disaster. Secondly, it was because he had also obtained countless magic treasures and cultivation methods. However, he could sell them as Dao crystals after coming to the Blood Sea Star region. Ning Fan had a total of more than 800 void fragmentation realm Dao fruits and countless pills that could raise one's cultivation base to the first step of cultivation. All of them were given to the female cultivators in the Cauldron world. He also cut out a life immortal realm Dao fruit and kept it with him for the time being. He would neither sell it nor eat it. He planned to eat it when he becomes an immortal to increase his chances of becoming an immortal. The Blood Sea Star was the Imperial Star and the Slaughter City was the largest city in the Imperial Star. Ning Fan went straight to the Spiritual Medicine Pavilion in the city and used all the 100 billion Dao crystals he had just obtained to buy 1,000,000 years old spiritual herbs. He bought a total of 470 tufts of them. Ning Fan still had 20 billion Dao crystals with him. He did not spend all of them. Instead, he kept some Dao crystals with him in case of emergencies. There were less than 2 years left before the grand competition begins. Ning Fan finally arrived at the Slaughter City. Finally, he would not miss the grand competition. He decided to use the remaining 2 years to improve the 3-flower converging prominence technique again. He would strive to turn the 5th lotus petal into the color of lead before the grand competition. Other than the Spiritual Medicine Pavilion, Ning Fan did not visit any other places. After spending 100 million Dao crystals, he bought a mid-grade temporary imperial residence in the outer city. Ning Fan moved into the residence and dismissed all of his maids. Then, he sat alone in the room. He did not immediately start cultivating the 3-flower converging prominence technique. Instead, he sat in front of the table and sipped his spiritual tea. Then, he looked at a corner of the room and said calmly, "Senior has been following me all the way since I entered the city. I suppose you have something to tell me. I wonder what Senior wants to tell me?" As soon as Ning Fan's voice fell, a hoarse laughter immediately resounded from the corner of the house. Then, a blood-red light flashed and a skinny old man in blood-red robes appeared. The old man's cultivation was not any lower than Yao Qingyun's, and he was probably a shedding void early-stage expert. The emblem of the slaughter hall was embroidered on his robe. Obviously, he was a member of the slaughter hall. This person's concealment technique was extremely profound, and even Yao Qingyun did not notice him. This person seemed to have cultivated a secret technique of the Tao of Corpse. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's corpse devil body which was at the third transformation, he certainly would not have noticed that this person was following him. He, this old man is Fei He, one of the 23 elders of the Slaughter Palace. Little friend Xianxio's senses are very sharp. Even that Yao Qingyun didn't know that I was hiding nearby, but you did. The scarlet-robed elder's hair was sparse, his skin was pale, and his eyes were deeply sunken. His aura was lifeless, like that of a zombie. He did not bother to be courteous with Ning Fan and directly sat opposite him. He stared at Ning Fan coldly and licked his lips. So, it's Elder Fei He, sorry for not recognizing you. Ning Fan cupped his fists while thinking about the purpose of Fei He's visit. I don't get along well with Yao Qingyun. I'm very happy that you've massacred the Yao clan. You seem to have collected 1 million years old spiritual herbs to cultivate the 3 flowers converging crown technique, right? He, you can take these spiritual herbs. Consider it as a small reward from me. Fei He flicked his sleeve and a storage pouch appeared on the table out of nowhere. He nodded and gestured for Ning Fan to take it. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He took the storage pouch and scanned it with his spirit sense. There were nearly 100 tufts of 1 million years old spiritual herbs inside. Ever since his medicine soul had turned into 5 colors, Ning Fan's senses became especially sharp. These tufts of 1 million years old spiritual herbs seemed to have been tampered with. Thank you for your generous gift, Senior. He did not reject Fei He's reward because it would only make him suspicious. Ning Fan kept the storage pouch. He had already decided not to use these storage pouches to cultivate the secret technique. Seeing Ning Fan keep the spiritual herbs, Fei He nodded his head in satisfaction and said, You've offended Yao Qingyun. Even though you have the death exemption token, it's hard to guarantee that you won't be killed by her sinister means. I have a plan that can completely eliminate Yao Qingyun. However, I need your help. Ning Fan's brows slightly wrinkled after hearing this and kept silent for a long time. What? I'm helping you get out of this calamity out of goodwill. Are you trying to reject my goodwill? Fei He's expression darkened and his eyes became even colder. Ning Fan sneered in his heart but did not show it on his face. This Fei He clearly wanted to get rid of Yao Qingyun, but he pretentiously said that he wanted to help me. What a joke. Unexpectedly, as soon as he arrived at the Slaughter City, he first confronted Yao Qingyun and then got involved with this Fei He. Judging from the 1 million years old spiritual herbs that Fei He gave him, he was definitely not a kind person. Compared to Fei He, Ning Fan felt that Yao Qingyun was much more adorable. Ning Fan had seen countless people. He could tell with just a glance that Fei He was a person who would not recognize his own family and use sinister means to kill without spilling blood. Even though Yao Qingyun was also Ning Fan's enemy, he had a good impression of her. From Ning Fan's point of view, this woman wanted to kill him because of the Yao family. Who was the Yao family? It was the family that had once wronged Yao Qingyun. Yao Qingyun must be a person who valued relationships. That was why she would get angry because of a family that had wronged her. If one day, Ning Fan had no choice but to fight Yao Qingyun to the death, he would swing his sword and kill Yao Qingyun without any hesitation. However, in his heart, he still had a good impression of Yao Qingyun even though she was his enemy. Ning Fan admired people who valued relationships. As for Fei He, he hated him from the bottom of his heart. He had no enmity with Fei He, but this Fei He had tampered with the 1 million years old spiritual herb and wanted to kill him. This Fei He was really detestable. If it wasn't for Ning Fan's cultivation base being far weaker than Fei He would certainly have acted forcefully and killed Fei He. Unfortunately, there was a huge disparity between his cultivation base and Fei He's. He had no choice but to temporarily pretend that he did not know about the 1 million years old spiritual herb and pretended to agree to all of Fei He's requests. Do you really want to reject this old man's good intention? Fei He asked again. This time, there was a hint of killing intent. Ning Fan's expression changed and he cupped his fists at Fei He. How would Junior dare to reject Senior's good intention? Junior is very grateful that Senior is willing to help Junior get rid of Yao Qingyun. However, I don't know when Senior is going to get rid of Yao Qingyun and how do you need Junior's help? Seeing that Ning Fan was very sensible, He sneered in his heart. However, he kept his cold expression and put on a kind expression. The time has not come yet. Now is not the time to get rid of Yao Qingyun. After you officially join the Slaughter Palace and break through to the immortal realm, I will carry out my plan. But then Yao Qingyun will die for sure. This is my token. Take it. With this token, ordinary cultivators of the Slaughter Palace will not dare to make things difficult for you. He patted his storage pouch and took out a token. The word Fei was engraved on it. He put the token on the table and looked at Ning Fan deeply. Then he stood up and turned into a trace of blood light, disappearing into the distance. This he has ulterior motives. You can't eat those 1,000,000 years old spiritual herbs. Ouyang Nuan's concerned voice came from the Yuan Yao world. Nuan, don't worry. I know. I suppose you must be feeling bored staying in the Yuan Yao world these days. Come out and rest for a few days. Ning Fan stroked Yuan Yao's jade. Immediately, a bright light flashed in the room and Ouyang Nuan's beautiful figure appeared. She was carrying little Furball in her arms. Her beauty was still captivating. However, her white hair still made Ning Fan's heart ache when he saw it. This white hair is an eyesore. I will get the longevity jade and get rid of it. Ning Fan reached his fingers into Ouyang Nuan's snow-white hair and gently stroked it. Ouyang Nuan's face turned slightly red, but she did not resist. She looked at Ning Fan deeply and said in a low voice, "As soon as you enter the Slaughter City, you have offended 2 elders of the Slaughter Palace. You must be careful." I will be careful. I've been rushing all the way here. I'm really tired. Sleep with me for a while. As Ouyang Nuan exclaimed in surprise, Ning Fan carried her up and walked towards the bed. Ouyang Nuan instantly became nervous. Her face was so red that it seemed like it could drip blood. Her small hands gently pushed Ning Fan's arms and she stuttered. "I'm not ready yet. It's just a nap. What do you need to prepare for? It's not like I'm going to eat you up." Ning Fan looked at Ouyang Nuan with a smile, thinking to himself that this foolish woman wouldn't think that he was going to do that, right? Aren't you going to do that with me? Ouyang Nuan was slightly stunned. Then she heaved a sigh of relief. However, she also felt a little disappointed for no reason. I'm not going to do that now. If we do it at the right time, it will naturally be beneficial. With your current physical condition, doing it will only damage your foundation and shorten your lifespan. When Ning Fan was talking about the Tao of making love with a straight face, Ouyang Nuan's face became even redder. She felt that Ning Fan was too despicable. He actually talked about such an embarrassing topic with a straight face. On second thought, perhaps it was because Ning Fan never had any despicable thoughts in his mind that he could talk about these things so calmly. He placed Ouyang Nuan on the inner side of the bed and helped her take off her shoes and socks. When his palm touched Ouyang Nuan's ankle, which was soft and boneless, Ning Fan's eyes darkened. However, he did not say anything. He took off his shoes and socks on his own and got onto the bed with his clothes on. He slept on the outer side of the bed and gently wrapped his arm around Ouyang Nuan's slender waist. Ning Fan closed his eyes and quickly fell into a deep sleep. For the past 8 years, Ning Fan had always been in a highly tense state. He was always on guard against enemies who would come and attack him. Thus, he was really tired. This place was already the Slaughter City. There would no longer be any open attacks. At most, there would only be some killings without any bloodshed. There was no need for him to be on high alert anymore. He could have a little rest. Howl, little Furball did not feel sleepy at all. It did not want to sleep in broad daylight. It gently leaped out of Ouyang Nuan's embrace and flew below the bed. Then, it began to run around the room. Its cultivation base was already at the mid-nascent soul realm. Without the trouble of little Furball, Ouyang Nuan squeezed herself into Ning Fan's arms. Looking at Ning Fan's exhausted sleeping face, her heart trembled. A warm feeling flowed through her body and she felt a little sorry for him. "What did I, Ouyang Nuan, do to deserve your protection?" She muttered to herself and curled up in Ning Fan's arms. This embrace was very warm, as if it could help her block all harm. She hoped that one day, she would be able to help the owner of this embrace and block all the damage. Chapter 730. Ning Fan slept for a day and a night. He felt unprecedentedly at ease. After waking up, Ning Fan sent Ouyang Nuan back to the Yuan Yao world as usual. Then, he entered the profound Yin world and went into seclusion to cultivate. There were still 2 years before the grand competition. During these 2 years, Ning Fan only cultivated 2 secret techniques. One was the 3 flowers at once prominence technique, and the other was the whirlpool technique. After annihilating the Yao clan, Ning Fan had obtained enough small Kiliacosm cosmos treasures. It was enough for him to cultivate his spatial vortex technique to the great perfection void whirlpool realm. When the whirlpool technique was perfected, it was comparable to a middle-grade immortal technique. Its power was also extremely terrifying. Refine. Gradually, the world power of the small Kiliacosm cosmos treasure was devoured and refined by him. Day after day, the floating continents in the vortex hollow gradually turned illusory. When the entire whirlpool heavenly passage turned illusory, the level of the heavenly passage suddenly increased, transforming into a small Kiliacosm. Half a year later, the void vortex heaven finally advanced to a minor Kiliacosm, becoming the void vortex world. There were countless small worlds in the vortex void realm. Even a life immortal would not be able to escape if he was imprisoned there. Ning Fan stretched out his palm. Immediately, a black hole vortex which was filled with darkness and extermination appeared on his palm. This black hole vortex was terrifyingly deep. It was enough to suck in light, making it impossible to escape. This black hole was powerful enough to suck a mid-stage human profound realm life immortal into the whirlpool world and kill him. Even a late human profound realm life immortal realm expert would be forcefully sucked into Ning Fan's world if they were not careful. This technique is not bad. Ning Fan dispersed the black hole in the maelstrom space and meditated for a few days. When his condition had recovered to its peak, he began to refine the 1 million years old spiritual herbs and cultivate the 3 flowers converging prominence technique. The further one cultivated the 3 flowers at once prominence technique, the more million-year-old spirit herbs one would need. This time, Ning Fan had spent 100 billion Dao crystals to purchase 470 tufts of 1 million years old spiritual herbs. However, it was only enough to turn the 5th petal of the lotus into a leaden color. This cultivation lasted for another half a year. The flower bloomed 5 petals, and the defense of the 3 flowers at once prominence technique was greatly improved. No one in the late stage of the human profound realm could break the defense of the lotus shadow. Even if it was an attack from a human Shen peak expert, it would still be able to defend a little. With a thought, 1 million lotus shadows immediately appeared around Ning Fan's body. His defense was astonishing. Feeling the strong defense of the lotus shadows that filled the sky, Ning Fan wore a mixed expression. He was happy that this technique was indeed powerful, but he was worried that this technique was simply too expensive. In order to turn the 5th lotus petal into the color of lead, Ning Fan had spent 100 billion Dao crystals. Even old monster Shikong would not be able to take out 100 billion Dao crystals easily. The further he went, the more million-year-old spirit herbs he would need. He didn't know how many spirit herbs and Dao crystals he would need for the 6th, 7th, and 8th petals. In order to cultivate to the realm of the 12 blossoms, one would need to burn an astronomical amount of money. Even if the pill sect or the medicine sect were to go bankrupt, they would not be able to fork out enough money to cultivate this technique. It was no wonder that so few people practiced the 3 flower at once prominence technique. It wasn't just because there were so few god cultivators with royal blood. More importantly, it was because the technique was so expensive. Moreover, this was the first time he had spent it, and he was already burning money like this. The 3 flowers at once prominence required one to cultivate the 3 flowers of heaven, earth, and human. He wondered if there would be anyone who could burn through all their money and cultivate 3 flowers at once prominence within 4 days. In any case, from the information that Ning Fan had gathered, he had never heard of anyone cultivating the 3 flowers to the grand perfection of the 3 flowers. The 3 flowers at once prominence is indeed a powerful divine ability. It doesn't take too much time to cultivate, but it's too expensive. I wonder if I can cultivate this technique to the level of the first flower in my lifetime. If I can look for the follow-up techniques of the second flower and the third flower to continue cultivating. There was less than a year left before the grand competition. Ning Fan pondered for a moment and decided to improve his body refinement realm within this year. Because of the removal of the immortal seed, his chances of becoming an immortal had been reduced by half. If he could cultivate his spiritual force, dermic powers, and physical body to the peak of the first step and become an immortal, his chances of becoming an immortal would increase by about 5%. It would be a waste not to take advantage of this 5% chance. It was necessary to improve his physical body. After slaughtering the Yao family, he had obtained quite a lot of body-tempering herbs. Although the Yao family was not a body-refining family, they still had some body-refining pills. With a wave of his hand, he summoned his ancestral talisman and used its power to devour the power of the spiritual herbs, refining their essence into qi. Ancient Devil's cultivation was slowly rising. 4th Heavenly Layer Revered Devil Realm, 5th Heavenly Layer Revered Devil Realm, 6th Heavenly Layer Revered Devil Realm. Half a year later, his cultivation realm finally stopped at the peak of the 6th Heavenly Layer Revered Devil Realm. It was not easy for him to continue improving his cultivation realm because he had already consumed all the body-refining pills of the Yao family. Ning Fan had no choice but to temporarily give up the idea of improving his ancient devil's cultivation realm. Then he took out countless spiritual flames, cold qi, spiritual wood, spiritual earth, and spiritual lightning to improve the level of his great 5 elements body. The minor 5 elements body was at the perfection stage. Almost none of the 5 elemental magic techniques of the first step of Tao cultivation could hurt him. After the minor 5 elements body evolved to the great 5 elements body, even the 5 elemental magic techniques of an ordinary mysterious life immortal realm cultivator could not hurt him at all. According to Ning Fan's estimation, if he could cultivate the great 5 elements body to the perfection stage, no one below the true immortal realm would be able to hurt him with the 5 elemental abilities. The great 5 elements constitution was indeed a formidable physique, but unfortunately, it was absolutely not an easy task to cultivate the great 5 elements constitution to perfection. Ning Fan devoured various spiritual items of the 5 elements. Among them, there was no lack of immortal-grade spiritual flames, immortal-grade cold qi, and immortal-grade spiritual lightning. 3 months later, all of the spiritual items of the 5 elements were devoured by Ning Fan. Fire Elemental Mastery 2%, Water Elemental Mastery 3%, Wood Elemental Mastery 1%, Metal Elemental Mastery 2%, Earth Elemental Mastery 1%. The difficulty of cultivating the great 5 elements physique was far beyond Ning Fan's expectation. The difference between it and the minor 5 elements physique was like heaven and earth. An immortal-grade spirit item could only increase the cultivation progress by 1%. It's another kind of physique that burns money. Ning Fan let out a long sigh. In order to cultivate the great 5 elements physique to perfection, he had no idea how many spiritual items of the 5 elements would be needed. After 3 months of bitter cultivation, his great 5 elements constitution didn't improve at all. However, the improvement of the yin-yang demon fire was a pleasant surprise. The yin-yang demon fire from before was a lower-grade LV8 spirit fire, close to middle grade. After devouring all the 5 elemental spiritual objects, the yin-yang demon fire's level had risen to level 8 intermediate grade. Moreover, after devouring the 5 elemental spiritual items, Ning Fan vaguely discovered that the yin-yang devil flame had undergone a qualitative change. In the past, the yin-yang demon fire was a combination of ice and fire, water and fire dual cultivation. However, after Ning Fan cultivated the great 5 elements physique, the yin-yang demon fire was no longer as simple as a combination of ice and fire. The spiritual earth, spiritual wood and spiritual lightning that Ning Fan devoured this time were all integrated into the yin-yang demon fire. The current yin-yang demon fire had already encompassed the 5 elements. Its form was fire, but it had the characteristics of the 5 elements. Ning Fan suddenly thought of the dual spiritual tablet technique. The name of the dual spiritual tablet technique was Fire Forming Mountain. It was the ability to turn flames into mountains and fire into earth. It turns out that after completing the second spirit of the dual spiritual tablet technique and attaining the great 5 elements physique, I already possess the ability to reverse the 5 elements. Ning Fan stretched out his hand. Immediately, a black devil flame jumped out from his palm. It was the yin-yang flame. With a thought, the black devil flame turned into a ball of black cold chi. With another thought, the black cold chi turned into black vines, then into a small black mountain and then into black lightning. In the end, the black lightning turned into a flame and was absorbed into Ning Fan's body. Ning Fan remained silent for a long time. He understood the significance of the yin-yang flame possessing the characteristics of the 5 elements. It indicated that he could increase the grade of the yin-yang flame by devouring any spiritual items of the 5 elements. It indicated that he could use the yin-yang flame as the medium to perform any magic techniques of the 5 elements. Looking at the steel of sun and moon that stood tall on the profound Yin continent, Ning Fan's eyes were filled with emotions. Frankly speaking, the steel of sun and moon was not a magic treasure that he could use. At least, it was not for now. The reason was that the stronger the power of the steel of sun and moon, the more magic power it would consume. Ning Fan rarely fought one-on-one battles. His enemies would always appear in groups. The steel of sun and moon consumed too much magic power. It was not suitable to use it frequently. Even though the steel of sun and moon was not practical, completing the spirit of the steel could increase the grade of the profound Yin world and improve Ning Fan's physique. From this point of view, the steel of sun and moon was definitely a good item that was hard to come by. Without the steel of sun and moon, Ning Fan would not be able to attain the great 5 elements physique at all. After resting for 3 days in the profound Yin world, Ning Fan's body flashed and he finally left the world. The content of the first round of the grand competition had already been released. The results would be recorded based on the slaughter badges. The participating cultivators who were strong had already challenged countless members of the slaughter palace and obtained many badges. The weaker cultivators had also spent a large number of Dao crystals to buy a lot of bronze badges. Each of the geniuses of the eastern heavens stood proudly without paying attention to the others. Only those who knew each other and had a good relationship with each other would whisper to each other. When Ning Fan arrived outside of the Blood Palace, the expressions of all the participating cultivators changed and they looked at Ning Fan with respect. These geniuses were undoubtedly proud of themselves for being able to cultivate to the void fragmentation realm with a skeletal age of 30,000 years. However, in front of Ning Fan, they could not bring themselves to feel proud at all. None of the geniuses of the Eastern Heaven could make a name for themselves like Ning Fan. He massacred all the immortal cultivators of an entire star region, killed 80,000 void fragmentation realm cultivators with a single slap, placed a bounty of 100 billion on the sect master of the Pill sect, and forced him to not dare to leave the sect without permission. Moreover, he openly confronted Elder Qing Yun of the Slaughter Palace without showing the slightest fear. He had mastered the Spirit Blast technique and forced countless life immortals and true crossing realm true immortals to flee at the mere sight of him. Is he really just a void fragmentation realm cultivator? Could he be a true immortal realm old monster who is pretending to be a true immortal realm old monster after his cultivation base fell? Countless geniuses swallowed their saliva while looking at Ning Fan and guessed in a low voice. On the high platforms on both sides, countless life immortals and true immortal realm old monsters were also discussing with each other. All of them were talking about Ning Fan. Ning Fan frowned. He did not like the feeling of being criticized by the crowd. His eyes carried the might of baleful qi and swept across the surroundings coldly. All of a sudden, countless geniuses shut their mouths in shock. The expressions of all the life immortals changed and they quickly became silent. Those true immortals at the True Crossing realm also frowned slightly but no longer talked about Ning Fan. Oh, so this is the junior who offended Yao Qingyun? What a sharp gaze. With just a glance, he could make so many geniuses and old monsters shut their mouths obediently. An unruly chuckle resounded in the air. The voice sounded a little old and hoarse. The one who spoke was a white-haired young man who came with the wind. Even though he looked like a young man, his cultivation base was too strong. In terms of age, he could definitely be considered as the ancestor of everyone here. Behind the white-haired young man were 22 experts. All of them were elders of the Slaughter Palace. The lowest cultivation base among them was at the Void-Shedding Realm. Behind the elders, there were more than 400 ghost-masked assassins. Each of them was at the True Crossing Realm. Countless cultivators raised their heads and looked at the white-haired young man with great respect. Many true Immortal Realm old monsters even stood up and cupped their fists at him. It's the great elder of the Slaughter Palace, the white-haired Immortal King Nethersea. Immortal Venerables, Immortal Kings and Immortal Emperors were all cultivators at the Eternal Ancient Realm. Rumor has it that the Immortal King Nethersea's cultivation base was already at the 5th tribulation of the Eternal Ancient Realm. As long as he survives the 6th tribulation, he would become an Immortal Emperor. Nethersea's cultivation base was extremely strong, and he was also the great elder of the Slaughter Palace. He was the strongest person in the Slaughter Palace after the Killing Emperor. Both his identity and cultivation base were shocking. No one dared to underestimate him. The Immortal King Nethersea burst into laughter. His old laughter resounded across the entire Blood Sea Star. In a flash, he flew to the seat on the right and sat down. His eyes scanned across the group of geniuses below him. Eventually, his eyes stopped at Ning Fan. This young man will probably be the first in this batch. He's a pretty good junior. What's more commendable is that he doesn't have an immortal seed in his body. If he is nurtured carefully, he can at least enter the True Crossing Realm and become a ghost-masked assassin. If he's fated, it's not impossible for him to become a Shikong or an elder. The Immortal King Nethersea nodded his head in satisfaction. Then he no longer looked at Ning Fan. Instead, he started chatting with some of the powerful beings around him. To him, no matter how outstanding Ning Fan was, he was just a junior. He was not worthy of his attention. It was already very rare for him to receive a compliment or a glance from him. The sun today is a little scorching. It's still the night that makes people feel at ease. You can go down the mountain now. No one knew what the Immortal King Nethersea was discussing with the few old monsters beside him. Suddenly, they started talking about the weather. Looking at the scorching sun above his head, his eyes were filled with slight displeasure. He said coldly while looking at the scorching sun above his head. He ordered the sun to set. That order contained an indescribably great ability. After hearing his order, the scorching sun seemed to be afraid and hurriedly descended to the west. In just a moment, the sun had set and the moon was hanging high in the sky. The day had turned into night. Words command. Some of the old monsters exclaimed inwardly. The other 22 elders took their seats behind the Immortal King Nethersea. As for the True Crossing Realm ghost-masked assassins, they stood in the sky at different locations in the inner city, as if they were on guard. If anyone dares to cause trouble, these ghost-masked assassins will kill them without hesitation. This person is so strong. Ning Fan glanced at the Immortal King Nethersea. He could not see his appearance at all. He only felt a sharp pain in his eyes. He knew that if he continued to peek at the Immortal King Nethersea forcefully, his eyes would probably be crippled. He quickly withdrew his gaze and dared not look at him anymore. This was an expert who was just a step away from breaking through to the Immortal Emperor realm. With Ning Fan's cultivation base, he was not qualified to see the Immortal King Nethersea's appearance at all. A trace of the Immortal King Nethersea's chi suffocated Ning Fan. Just an order from the Immortal King Nethersea could change the sun and moon and reverse spring and autumn. With the arrival of the Immortal King Nethersea, Ning Fan was no longer the focus of the meeting. Gradually, more and more old monsters arrived from all directions. Those who came late were mostly experts whose names shook the eastern heaven. There were Old Monster Shikong, Old Monster Suanyen, Immortal Venerables and even Immortal Kings. It's Old Monster Su who is at the peak of the Shedding Void realm. Isn't that the sect master of the Zhenxing sect, Zhenxingzi? Rumor has it that he has already broken through to the thought fragmentation realm. I didn't expect it to be true. That's immortal King Burning Heaven. Could the mount he is riding on be the immortal venerable azure dragon that wreaked havoc in the sealed dust star region some time ago? Look, it's the 9th elder of the godly void pavilion. Rumor has it that he has already grasped the profound mysteries of the verbal execution law. He is not far from breaking through to the mid-thought fragmentation realm. The arrival of the legendary old monsters made Ning Fan deeply shocked by the strength of the eastern heaven. However, he did not have any other emotions. When he heard that the people of the godly void pavilion had arrived, his eyes slightly moved and he looked at them. The so-called 9th elder of the godly void pavilion was an old man with a kind face. He wore green robes and rode on a white crane. He had the demeanor of an immortal. Behind him was a group of young cultivators from the godly void pavilion. Most of them were void fragmentation realm cultivators, but there were also some void refinement realm cultivators. It seemed that the reason why the 9th elder came was to bring these juniors to watch the disciple recruitment competition of the Slaughter Palace to broaden their horizons. Ning Fan's gaze swept across the people of the godly void pavilion. He did not see the figure of the little demoness. He could not help but feel a little disappointed. She didn't come. Is she in trouble? With her personality, if she sees my bounty notice, she will certainly recognize me. If she heard that I am participating in the competition of the Slaughter Palace, she will certainly not miss this grand event. Why didn't she come? Brother Qian Qiu seems to pay a lot of attention to the godly void pavilion. Could it be that you have an old friend in the godly void pavilion? The voice of a young man entered Ning Fan's ears. Ning Fan turned his body to look and his eyes turned slightly cold. The person who spoke was a young man in red robes. His red robes were embroidered with a vermilion bird. His peach blossom eyes could bewitch all living beings and he was as handsome as a demon. This person was Qi Zhen of the Sea Demon sect. Behind Qi Zhen, the 3 pitifully weak followers were still following him. However, this time, those 3 followers were much more well-behaved. They did not dare to casually shout at Ning Fan. They already knew how terrifying Ning Fan was. How would they dare to provoke him? Ning Fan did not have a good impression of Qi Zhen and the others. Thus, he did not want to pay attention to them. Qi Zhen, on the other hand, smiled and said, "If Brother Qian Qiu wants to know more about the godly void pavilion, I am willing to tell you everything I know. I will use this matter to make up for my previous offense. What do you think?" "Sure. I am very interested in the young pavilion master of the godly void pavilion. I heard that the young pavilion master likes to join in on the fun. With her personality, she should be here to watch the competition of the Slaughter Palace. Why didn't she come?" Ning Fan turned around and asked indifferently. Brother Qian Qiu seems to know Miss Xiao's personality very well. According to what I know, Miss Xiao has been busy breaking through to the life immortal realm. She had already gone into seclusion tens of years ago. Until now, she has yet to break through and she doesn't care about what is happening in the outside world. Becoming an immortal is a very important matter. She naturally doesn't have the time to come here to watch the competition. This matter is very secretive. I only heard about it from my master. Ordinary people don't know about it. Qi Zhen answered politely. I see. She is in seclusion to break through to the life immortal realm, huh? Ning Fan's eyes became absent-minded. The worry in his eyes lessened a lot. Since she was fine, he felt relieved. You've answered my question. The grudges between you and me in the past will be written off. We don't owe each other anymore. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he turned around and left. Qi Zhen's eyes flashed. He caught the important information in Ning Fan's words. This person's Dao name is Qian Qiu, but his real name is Ning. Ning Fan did not have the intention to continue hiding his real name. If he wants to join the Slaughter Palace, he must reveal his real name. No deceit is allowed. The powerful beings of the Slaughter Palace had all kinds of secret techniques. They would know if you are lying or not. No one could hide their identity to join the Slaughter Palace. The Slaughter Palace would never recruit people with ulterior motives. Gradually, all the old monsters who were supposed to come arrived. All of a sudden, the inner city fell into silence. An old man wearing blood-red armor who was at the peak of the Crossing Truth realm arrived in the air with a group of burly giants following behind him. Those giants were carrying a huge blood-red steel. That huge steel was the item that recorded the results of the participating cultivators in this competition. With a loud bang, the giants placed the steel on the left side of the Blood Palace. All of them were at the life-immortal realm. The old man wearing blood-red armor who was at the peak of the Crossing Truth realm stood proudly outside the Blood Palace and said with a clear voice, "I am Qian Tuzi. I will be the host of the disciple recruitment ceremony this time. When I raise the spirit arrow in my hand, the first round of the competition will officially begin. After the spirit arrow explodes, you have the time it takes for an incense stick to burn to compete for the badges. After the incense stick, no one is allowed to continue fighting. During the period of competing for the badges, killing is allowed. Those who are afraid of death can immediately leave the inner city. During the period of handing over the badges, your real identity and name must be recorded. You are not allowed to hide anything. Otherwise, you will be disqualified from participating in the competition. After the first round of the competition ends, the top 1,000 geniuses will advance to the second round." Qian Tuzi's cold eyes swept across the tens of thousands of geniuses at the scene. Roughly, there were about 40,000 people participating in this competition. The expressions of many geniuses changed. They initially thought that they only needed to hand over their badges in the first round of the competition. They did not expect that there would be a battle before they handed over their badges. Well, it was no wonder. How could there be no battles in the competition of the Slaughter Palace? The people that the Slaughter Palace wanted to recruit were the top geniuses in the eastern sky. Many geniuses' faces showed signs of struggle. Not long after that, thousands of people really withdrew from the competition and left the inner city. Most of these people were cultivators below the Sixth Shattering Realm. They knew that their cultivation level was not high enough and they did not have enough badges to enter the top 1,000. If the competition was not life-threatening, they would not mind taking a trial here to gain some experience. However, the first round of the competition did not prohibit killing. Their cultivation level was low and they did not dare to risk their lives in this place. Seeing that no one else withdrew from the competition, Qian Tuzi nodded with satisfaction. There were still 37 to 8,000 people left in the inner city. It was much more than what he had expected. Just as he was about to raise the spirit arrow in his hand and announce the start of the competition, a clear and cold voice of a woman resounded throughout the entire inner city. "Hold on. I want to add a rule to the first round of the competition." The person who spoke was none other than Yao Qingyun. As soon as Qian Tuzi heard that Elder Qingyun wanted to add a rule to the competition, he immediately looked at the Nether Sea Immortal King with a troubled expression. The Nether Sea Immortal King gave Yao Qingyun a meaningful look and then looked at Ning Fan's direction. Then he nodded. Seeing that the Nether Sea Immortal King did not have any objections, Qian Tuzi cupped his fists respectfully towards Yao Qingyun. "May I know what kind of rule Elder Qingyun wants to add?" "It's very simple. In the first round of the competition, you are not allowed to use any offensive or defensive jade slips, immortal formation discs, talismans or external secret techniques such as the deity blast technique. In short, you are not allowed to use any external techniques to increase your strength. In the first round of the competition, you must use your own techniques. What my Slaughter Palace wants to recruit are true experts and not scoundrels who use external techniques to show off their strength." Swoosh! In the inner city, countless pairs of eyes shifted to Ning Fan. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Yao Qingyun's rule was added to target Ning Fan. Qian Tuzi felt a little troubled. Among the cultivators who participated in the competition this time, there were cultivators who specialized in puppet techniques, talisman techniques, pill refinement techniques, and formation techniques. It was fine for Yao Qingyun to target Ning Fan, but this time, he was probably going to knock down a large number of people. Using external techniques was also considered as one's own techniques. In the cultivation world, techniques that could kill and protect oneself were all considered as techniques, weren't they? Do as Elder Qingyun said. The Nether Sea Immortal King's aged voice resounded in the inner city. He was rather interested in Ning Fan. He also wanted to see what kind of results Ning Fan could achieve without using external techniques. After hearing his words, Qian Tuzi nodded and announced the rules again. All of a sudden, the faces of countless puppet cultivators, talisman cultivators, pill refinement cultivators and formation cultivators turned ashen. As for some cultivators who had offensive jade slips given by their seniors, they also had the urge to bang their heads against the wall and commit suicide. With so many techniques that they could not use, it was impossible for them to stand out in the first round. Ning Fan's eyes flickered, but he did not feel dejected at all. In the first place, he would not waste his profound ghost realm attack, true immortal realm attack and the primordial spirit of the deity blast technique in this kind of low-level competition. Those were all life-saving treasures. Ning Fan's strength alone was enough to defeat the geniuses of the same generation as him. He looked at Yao Qingyun and smiled faintly. Seeing Ning Fan's calm smile, Yao Qingyun clenched her fists in displeasure. Ning Fan's calmness made her feel as if she had punched cotton. Li Er is already at the mid-human profound realm. I don't believe that you will be a match for him without using external techniques. Yao Qingyun no longer said anything. After Qian Tuzi finished announcing the new rules, he raised his hand and prepared to cast the spiritual arrow. Suddenly, a burly man in yellow robes laughed loudly and walked into the inner city. "I'm sorry. I'm late." His smile was calm, but his aura force was not to be underestimated. He was at the peak of the mid-human profound realm. When some of the geniuses of the eastern sky saw him, their expressions immediately changed and they rubbed their eyes in disbelief. "It's Kuang San of the Huda sect. Why is he here? Isn't that Kuang San at the early human profound realm? Since when did he cultivate to the peak of the mid-human profound realm?" When he was at the early human profound realm, he could already defeat all the mid-human profound realm experts. Now that he is already at the mid-human profound realm, I'm afraid he won't be a match for a late human profound realm expert. I heard that Kuang San had betrayed the Huda sect and wholeheartedly joined the Slaughter Palace. I didn't expect it to be true. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold and he looked at the burly man in yellow robes who was laughing maniacally. His intuition told him that this Kuang San was not easy to deal with. Chapter 731. His intuition told him that this Kuang San was not easy to deal with. Suddenly, Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He seemed to have noticed something extremely interesting from Kuang San. As for Kuang San, his eyes were also sizing up Ning Fan in an unnoticeable manner. Suddenly he grinned at Ning Fan and sent him a telepathic message. "I have come especially for you. Don't disappoint me." "Is that so?" Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. After the first round of the competition begins, the first half of an incense stick of time will pass, and the second half of an incense stick of time will determine the victor. The loser will hand over all their emblems. How about it? Kuang San said confidently. "Sure." Ning Fan's eyes flashed. No one knew what he was thinking about. Kuang San, on the other hand, looked at the Yuan Yao jade between Ning Fan's fingers and the corners of his mouth curled into an inexplicable smile. "Let's see how powerful you are to be able to move Xiaoman like this," Mad 3 said in his heart. Ning Fan withdrew his gaze and no longer looked at Kuang San. In his mind, he was pondering about the reason why Kuang San came. He had already seen through this person's secret. He could also tell that this person was coming for him. But what was this person's purpose? He calmed his heart and closed his eyes, sweeping away all the distracting thoughts in his mind. When he opened his eyes again, they were terrifyingly calm, like a black pond. No one could see through his thoughts. Qian Tuzi's gaze swept through the crowd. Seeing that there were no other competitors after Kuang San, he nodded and suddenly shot the spirit arrow in his hand into the sky. The spirit arrow turned into a streak of scarlet light and shot into the sky with a whistling sound. It exploded in the night sky and shook the heavens. This was the signal for the competition to begin. At this moment, countless participants with strong cultivations moved, extending their sharp claws towards those with weaker cultivations. All of a sudden, monstrous baleful qi spread out from his body. With a single step, he launched an attack at all the cultivators within a 10,000 zhang radius. There were 19 cultivators in the area, the weakest of whom was a 7th demolisher, and 3 were rogue immortals. These people were preparing to show off their skills in the first round of the competition, but before they could do anything, they suddenly felt a pain in their chests. Like kites with their strings cut, they were sent flying, coughing up blood and heavily injured. The 19 prodigies did not even see who attacked them before they fell to the ground like a pile of mud. When they saw who had attacked them, their expressions changed drastically, and they revealed expressions of fear. Old Demon Shenxiu. The storage pouches on their waists had already been taken away by Ning Fan. Ning Fan held the 19 storage pouches in his hand and casually took out the Dao crystals, pills, slaughter badges and other useful items from them. As for the cultivation techniques of the prodigies, he did not touch any of them and casually tossed their storage bags back. Ning Fan was not an idiot. At the very least, these 19 heavenly prides came from life immortal realm forces. Some of them even came from true immortal realm forces. Even though killing was allowed in the first round of the grand competition, Ning Fan would not act recklessly unless it was someone he must kill. He would also not seize the secret techniques and cultivation methods of these people. Doing so would offend countless life immortals and perfected immortals. Ning Fan was not afraid of offending people, but meaningless offending was not something he liked. Like a bolt of lightning, he dashed toward the group of sky prides in the distance. As soon as those geniuses saw Ning Fan rushing towards them, all of their faces turned pale with fright. All of them hurriedly retreated, not daring to fight against Ning Fan. Each of the prodigies was severely injured and sent flying by Ning Fan almost at the same time. All of their storage pouches were taken away by Ning Fan. Just like before, he only took the unimportant items and did not take the cultivation methods and secret techniques of the various sections. On the 2 jade platforms, countless old monsters' gazes instantly locked onto Ning Fan. The grand competition had just begun for a few breaths, but Ning Fan had already knocked down nearly 100 prodigies. Such overwhelming strength was not something ordinary prodigies could withstand. The elders of those prodigies who fell to the ground were initially worried that Ning Fan would kill them. When they saw that Ning Fan only injured them and did not take their lives, they heaved a sigh of relief. Yao Qingyun frowned. She did not expect Ning Fan to be so strong. None of the prodigies below the life immortal realm could withstand a single blow from him. Qingyun, you have miscalculated. The Nether Sea Immortal King suddenly spoke with a smile. What do you mean, Great Elder? The rule that you added not only did not cause any trouble to this young man, but it also helped him instead. In my opinion, this young man has a stubborn character. He never planned to win with the help of external forces. He did not plan to use any of his trump cards. Your rule restricted the other participants, preventing them from taking out the trump cards that their elders gave them. Without that rule, many of the participants would have taken out the attack jade slips of the life immortal realm. I'm afraid this young man would have a tough battle. Who? He helped him. As soon as the Nether Sea Immortal King finished speaking, Yao Qingyun was instantly stunned on the spot. She had helped him. She had actually helped her enemy. Qingyun, if I didn't know about the grudge between you and this young man, I would have thought that you were using your position for personal gain to pave the way for him so that he can easily win the championship. The Nether Sea Immortal King laughed evilly. Great Elder, please don't joke around. I have an irreconcilable grudge with him. Why would I help him? Yao Qingyun was so angry that she wanted to stomp her feet. An irreconcilable grudge? Not necessarily. If I didn't pass by the Yao family and save you, you would have already become the cauldron of the life immortals of the Yao family. Can you forget that kind of humiliation? Yao Qingyun's eyes dimmed. She did not say anything else. What happened in the past was a pain in her heart. She did not want to talk about it. You are no longer a member of the Yao family. In my opinion, it's better not to take revenge. The Nether Sea Immortal King said in a serious tone. Yao Qingyun clenched her fists tightly. There was a hint of struggle in her eyes. Perhaps the Great Elder was right. The Yao family had betrayed her first. There was really no need for her to stand up for the Yao family. However, Yao Qingyun looked at Ning Fan, who was unstoppable in the inner city. Her eyes suddenly flashed with anger. She just could not stand the sight of him. Yao Qingyun's expression fell into the Nether Sea Immortal King's eyes and turned into a deeper smile. Interesting. He muttered to himself indifferently. No one knew what he was thinking. Even though Ning Fan was the person with the most outstanding battle result, he was not the only one who was in the limelight. Yao Li of the Yao family, Qi Zhen of the Xiao sect, Kuang San, the trader of the Deep Earth sect, and Yu Kuan, a life-immortal rogue cultivator. The four of them suppressed the other cultivators with their profound mortal realm cultivation base. The first round of the competition seemed to have become an exhibition match for Ning Fan and the other four experts. Time passed by slowly. Ning Fan had already sent more than 3,000 Eastern Skies geniuses flying. Finally, he attracted Yu Kuan's attention. Yu Kuan was an early profound mortal realm rogue cultivator with a bone age of 28,000 years. The fact that he could reach this stage without relying on any force was enough to prove that he was very powerful. Yu Kuan's eyes glowed with a kind of light. It was the light of pursuing strength. He fancied Ning Fan's strength. Therefore, he wanted to defeat Ning Fan. If Ning Fan had the Spirit Blast technique and the offensive Jade Slip, he would not dare to attack recklessly. Now, none of them could use any external means. They could only fight fairly with their own strength. It couldn't be better. He did not believe that he would lose to Ning Fan. Yu Kuan's body was surrounded by a ray of moonlight blade light. That blade light was extremely agile. The cold chi it carried was enough to freeze the land of a few li. He walked towards Ning Fan step by step. Wherever Yu Kuan walked, the ground would turn into ice. When the participants saw Yu Kuan walking towards Ning Fan, they quickly retreated, not daring to get involved in the battle between the two experts. They could not wait for Ning Fan and Yu Kuan to fight for as long as possible. As long as they can drag the battle for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the grand competition would end. Then, they could hand in their badges and advance to the second round. Misty Moon Blade, Yu Kuan. Yu Kuan stopped walking 10,000 zhang away from Ning Fan and announced his name. Ning Fan. Ning Fan also announced his name indifferently. His entire body was on guard against Yu Kuan's attack. Although his voice was not loud, it traveled far. Countless old monsters were stunned when they heard Ning Fan's name. So, old ancestor Qian Qiu's mortal name is Ning Fan. Brother Ning, take my blade. Yu Kuan shouted. He suddenly raised his hand and pointed a finger at Ning Fan from afar. The moonlight blade light that was circling around his body immediately turned into a cold and sharp aurora, slashing towards Ning Fan's face. Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly serious. Yu Kuan's blade was enough to severely injure an early profound mortal realm expert. With this blade technique, Yu Kuan could be considered as an early profound mortal realm expert. However, it was not enough to hurt him with this technique. Ning Fan quickly retreated. His fingers were wrapped with black flames and he lifted his finger to point at the sharp blade light. As soon as he pointed at it, the cold chi of the blade light shrunk by a lot. Ning Fan borrowed the counterforce to retreat even faster. His attacks were also faster. He pointed at the blade light 16 times. From the beginning to the end, Ning Fan had pointed at the blade light 17 times with his fingers. Under these 17 points, the cold chi on the blade light was completely incinerated. The blade light that was initially sharp suddenly shattered, turning into crystal fragments that scattered all over the ground. The Misty Moon Blade is broken. Countless participants were shocked. They naturally knew how powerful Yu Kuan's Misty Moon Blade was. Its sharpness was secondary, its coldness was the most frightening part. Once the Misty Moon Blade was used, it was rare for an early profound mortal realm expert to not be frozen. Everyone stared at the black flames between Ning Fan's fingers in shock. All of them were greatly shocked. Immortal Fire. A mid-grade 8th level Immortal Fire. Even a late profound mortal realm expert would not be able to withstand the power of a mid-grade 8th level Immortal Fire. It was their first time hearing that Ning Fan actually cultivated such a powerful devil fire. Yu Kuan's eyes were also filled with shock. He had never thought that his natal magic treasure, the Misty Moon Blade, would be destroyed by Ning Fan in just a single move. While he was still in shock, Ning Fan's figure flashed and appeared in front of Yu Kuan like a ghost. He said indifferently, "You've lost." Before his voice faded away, an extremely terrifying palm imprint of black flames had already been sent out by Ning Fan, hitting Yu Kuan's chest. Yu Kuan hurriedly summoned his peak divine profound realm treasure armor to defend himself. However, the armor was instantly burnt to ashes. With a loud bang, Yu Kuan's body seemed to have been burnt into charcoal. He flew backwards like a kite with a broken string and fell heavily on the ground. He was barely breathing. Ning Fan approached him step by step and calmly took off Yu Kuan's storage pouch. He took out some useful items and returned the pouch. "Next time, I won't be defeated so easily." Yu Kuan uttered those words unwillingly and fainted right away. The entire city was shocked. Those with discerning eyes could see that Ning Fan's fire palm was not a type of magic technique or ability. It was just the power of the immortal fire condensed into a fire palm. Even so, he was able to defeat Yu Kuan, who was an early profound realm expert, with just a single palm strike. If Ning Fan was proficient in a type of fire technique, he would probably be able to kill a mid-profound realm expert or even a late profound realm expert with just a single palm strike. This old devil Qianqiu is really powerful. He actually defeated Yu Kuan with just a single strike. Countless participants were filled with fear. While they were still in a daze, Ning Fan's figure flashed and attacked forcefully, sending the participants flying away one after another. He seized the slaughter badges and some other items along the way. "He's a devil." Among the audience seats, a little child who was serving a true immortal realm old monster said with trembling lips, "He's a bandit." A 7 or 8-year-old little girl who was following behind the true immortal realm old monster said in a trembling voice, "If you don't sleep on time tonight, that old devil Qianqiu will find you and eat you." A Duzhen female cultivator who was already a mother threatened the mischievous child in her arms. When the child heard that he would be eaten by Ning Fan if he didn't sleep, he immediately burst into tears. "Cry again. Old devil Qianqiu will come and eat you immediately." The Duzhen female cultivator reprimanded. I won't cry anymore. Mother, I beg you to protect me." The child immediately wiped his tears and sobbed while trying to please his mother. The Duzhen female cultivator was overjoyed. It seemed like using Ning Fan's fierce name to scare her obedient son was a good way to educate him. Well, Ning Fan's fierce name could already be used to stop a child from crying. Ning Fan's figure was like lightning, shuttling back and forth in the inner city, sending each and every participant flying. Counting carefully, there were nearly 6,000 participants that were sent flying by him. All of a sudden, a sharp cold light slashed from behind. Without saying a word, Ning Fan moved sideways to avoid the cold light, turned around and blasted out a black flame palm with boundless killing intent. The person who attacked him with the cold light was Yao Li. The current Yao Li was already at the middle stage of the human profound realm. He sneered as he looked at the incoming black flame palm. He changed his hand seals and the ground beneath his feet suddenly split open. 9 blood dragons broke out from the ground and soared into the sky. Immortal art, 9 dragons. The 9 blood dragons fiercely collided with the black flame palm. After the collision, they were evenly matched. Black flame disperse, blood dragon annihilate. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed slightly. This Yao Li does have some tricks up his sleeves. His strength seems to be above Kuan. Yao Li, on the other hand, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. Initially, he thought that he could easily crush Ning Fan after breaking through to the mid-human profound realm. However, he did not expect that after he displayed the 9 dragons technique, he was only evenly matched with Ning Fan's casual attack. That black flame palm was indeed a casual attack from Ning Fan. It was not an immortal art or ability. "Oh, there's going to be a good show. Qingyun, why don't we make a bet? Between Ning Fan and Yao Li, who will die?" The Nether Sea Immortal King chuckled. He did not bet on who would win but who would die. Because everyone knew that Ning Fan would not let Yao Li go and Yao Li would not let Ning Fan go. "All right, I will bet that Li Er will win and Ning Fan will die. How can Ning Fan win against Li Er? Yao Qingyun muttered the name Ning Fan. His heart was filled with disgust for no reason. He wished he could rinse his mouth to wash it clean. Then I will bet that Yao Li will die. If I lose, I will give you that innate spiritual herb to break through to the intermediate shedding void realm. If you lose? As soon as the Nether Sea Immortal King took out the innate spiritual herb as a bet, countless old monsters' eyes lit up. Many elders of the Slaughter Palace looked at Yao Qingyun with envy. As for Fei He stared at Yao Qingyun with hatred. He wished he could kill Yao Qingyun. How could he be happy to see her obtain the innate spiritual herb from the great elder to break through to the next realm? I won't lose. Yao Qingyun harumphed. If you lose, you will be responsible for sending the new disciples to the blood pool for this year's competition. You will be responsible for helping him receive the baptism of the highest level of the blood pool. All right. Yao Qingyun agreed without hesitation. She had never thought that if Ning Fan was the one who obtained the first place and joined the Slaughter Palace, she would do her best to help him receive the baptism of the blood pool. The baptism of the highest level of the blood pool was quite alluring. The corner of the Nether Sea Immortal King's mouth curled into a smile. He thought to himself, interesting. This is really interesting. After the competition, there will be a good show to watch. In the inner city, Yao Li's eyes flashed. He suppressed the negative emotions in his heart and calmed himself down. All of a sudden, he changed his hand seal and tried to kill Ning Fan again. Immortal technique, 18 dragons. Amidst the loud rumbling sounds, 18 blood dragons broke through the ground and soared into the sky. Blood mist filled the sky and they turned into a blood-red color that let out a shrill howl as they charged at Ning Fan. The impact force of the 18 blood dragons was enough to destroy a low-grade cultivation planet. Ning Fan's eyes remained unmoved from the beginning to the end. Ning Fan's eyes remained unmoved from the beginning to the end. He stomped on the ground and 18 dragons of black flames immediately rushed out from the ground. When the fire dragons and blood dragons collided with each other, the blood dragons immediately let out a sizzling sound. The blood on their bodies was burned away by the black flames. In an instant, all 18 blood dragons were burned to ashes. At the moment when the blood dragons were burned to ashes, Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his large hand and the 18 black fire dragons rushed towards Yao Li's head. The fire power of the 18 black fire dragons was enough to burn an entire low-grade cultivation planet into ashes. Yao Li's expression changed greatly. He hurriedly retreated while taking out a small ice shield. That small shield was a mid-grade water element immortal treasure. It was the best at suppressing flames. It would probably be able to withstand the destructive force of the black flames. Yao Li changed his hand seal and raised the small shield in his hand into the sky. The small shield immediately turned into an indestructible ice barrier that blocked the black flames. Just as he was about to let out a sigh of relief, an incomparably large black hole suddenly appeared beneath his feet. The black hole gave off a boundless suction force. In just an instant, Yao Li, who was caught off guard, was sucked into the black hole. Not good. Yao Qingyun's face turned pale. She suddenly rose to her feet and stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. Her eyes met with Ning Fan's calm expression. Destroy! As soon as he uttered that word, Yao Li's miserable shriek immediately resounded from the black hole. At the next moment, he took out a storage pouch and a pool of blood from the black hole. He did not leave Yao Li's primordial spirit behind. He was not even willing to leave his broken primordial spirit behind. You've lost, Elder Qin Yun. The Nether Sea Immortal King's aged laughter resounded in the inner city. Mid-grade immortal technique. Some of the participants looked at the black hole that was gradually disappearing with astonishment. Spatial immortal technique. This young man seems to be very proficient in spatial techniques. If that's the case, I can send him an invitation to the Godly Void Pavilion during the sacrificial bell. The 9th elder of the Godly Void Pavilion muttered to himself. Ning Fan defeated Yu Kuan, who was an early mortal profound realm expert, and killed Yao Li, who was a mid-mortal profound realm expert, with a single move. The strength that he displayed made countless participants not dare to oppose him. Yao Qingyun looked at the pool of blood that Yao Li had turned into and sighed. She sat back on her seat and closed her eyes. Her expression was full of sorrow. The Yao clan was finally annihilated. She could not tell what kind of emotion she was feeling. At this moment, she thought that she would vent her anger on Ning Fan, but she did not. Scenes of the past emerged in her mind. For a moment, all kinds of feelings welled up in her heart. She actually did not get angry? This Yao Qingyun has become smarter. It seems like even a stupid woman will learn from failure. She failed to scheme against me twice in a row. Next time, it might be very difficult to deal with her. Ning Fan's thoughts raced. After a moment, he put away all his thoughts and crazily bombarded the geniuses of the eastern heaven. The time it takes for half an incense stick to burn was almost up. It was almost time for him to duel with Kuang San. The number of geniuses of the eastern heaven who had been defeated by Ning Fan had already reached nearly 20,000. The number of slaughter badges that he had obtained was already innumerable. On the other side, Kuang San was fighting against Qi Zhen's group of 4. The earth elemental force around Kuang San's body was moving unhindered. As he raised his palm, thick earth palm imprints were launched towards Qi Zhen and the others. Chu Yen and the others were sent flying by Kuang San one after another. Eventually, Qi Zhen let out a bitter smile and was sent flying by Kuang San's palm. The time it takes for half an incense stick to burn was up. The ground in the inner city was filled with people who were seriously injured and unconscious. Those who were still conscious and still had the slaughter badges were only Ning Fan and Kuang San. This scene was beyond the expectations of countless old monsters. It was as if the geniuses in the city were only here to serve as a foil to Ning Fan and Kuang San. In the first round of the competition, 1,000 people must be selected to advance to the next round. But now, only 2 people were left with the badges. Moreover, after the duel between Ning Fan and Kuang San, only one of them would win. Chapter 732. As soon as Kuang San finished speaking, he waved his hand. The earth elemental power under the ground was gathered in his palm, turning into a dark yellow palm imprint. His palm descended from the sky towards Ning Fan. Kuang San's cultivation base was at the mid-human profound realm. His combat power was far beyond cultivators at the same level as him. It was enough to defeat anyone at the late human profound realm. The power of this palm was almost infinitely close to the attack of a peak human profound realm expert. Not good. My grandson is also within the attack range of this palm. My disciple is in danger. My son is in trouble. Each of the old monsters' expressions changed drastically when they saw Kuang San's boundless palm imprint. If Ning Fan could not withstand this palm imprint, it would land on the ground of the entire inner city and kill all the heavily injured and unconscious geniuses of the eastern sky. Each of the old monsters took action. However, they did not help Ning Fan to block the palm imprint. Instead, they were frantically snatching the unconscious cultivators out of the battlefield of the inner city. Qian Tuzi's expression changed slightly. He changed his hand seals and took the unconscious geniuses away. This time, the entire 10,000 li of the inner city was cleared. Other than Ning Fan and Kuang San, there was no one else in the battlefield. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He did not dare to underestimate this palm imprint. As he changed his hand seals, millions of black holes suddenly appeared above Ning Fan's head. They produced a boundless suction force and forcefully sucked the palm imprint into the spatial vortex world. Fortunately, this palm imprint was just an attack that was infinitely close to the peak human profound realm. If it really had the power of a peak human profound realm attack, the spatial vortex technique would not work anymore. Spatial ability, huh? Kuang San nodded his head in satisfaction. His burly body suddenly disappeared without any warning and directly appeared behind Ning Fan. There was no time difference at all. This kind of escape technique was not teleportation but the switching of time nodes. She was standing at this place 20 breaths ago. Therefore, she could use the secret technique of time to return to where she stood before. Time escape technique. Countless old monsters suddenly stood up and stared at Kwang San in disbelief. Even the powerful beings like the Nether Sea Immortal King slightly narrowed their eyes. Kwang San appeared behind Ning Fan without any warning. It was impossible for Ning Fan not to be surprised. Without any time to react, Kwang San's massive fist had already landed on Ning Fan's back. The power of this punch was enough to easily shatter a low-grade cultivation planet. If this punch lands, Ning Fan would either be dead or injured. An immortal body realm body cultivator. The second step of the body refinement realm was divided into 3 great realms: immortal body realm, true body realm, and boundless realm. The 8th severance of the celestial physique, the 3rd extremity of the true body, and the boundless 9 tribulations were the entirety of the 2nd step of the body tempering tier. Ning Fan could sense that Kwang San was not only a body cultivator at the immortal body realm but also a 3rd severance immortal body cultivator. The 3rd severance of the immortal physique could defeat a late profound realm cultivator with just his physical body. This woman cultivates in both body and energy. It's no wonder that she can sweep across the late stage of the human profound realm. Ning Fan was of course shocked. However, he did not panic. In an instant his white robes turned black. His body turned into a black shadow and dispersed, dodging that punch. The fist light struck empty air and tore through the ground, blasting towards one of the grandstands. The faces of the ghost-masked assassins turned solemn as they attacked in unison, extinguishing the fist aura and protecting the viewing platform, causing no casualties. The black shadow condensed again. Ning Fan was clad in black robes with an indifferent expression on his face. His black hair danced wildly in the strong wind as he appeared 300,000 zhang away. With just a single exchange of blows, Ning Fan deeply realized how strong Kwang San was. Dual body and energy cultivation, times secret arts. This Kwang San's background was definitely not small. Not bad. You're indeed the famous great devil Lord Ning of the Eastern Heaven. It seems like I won't be able to defeat you if I don't show some of my true abilities. Immortal technique, white lightning. Kwang San's eyes were as wild as a devil's. He suddenly squatted down and both of his fists were surrounded by lightning. Then he punched the ground. The ground within 10,000 li of the inner city suddenly collapsed. Countless white lightning bolts shot out and surrounded Ning Fan. This technique was an immortal grade body technique and it was at the mid-grade. When Kwang San used it, this technique could instantly kill a late profound realm old monster. Ning Fan had to admit that this Kwang San was very strong. Unfortunately, he was not afraid of lightning abilities that were at the same level as him. In front of countless powerful beings of the Eastern Heaven, Ning Fan would certainly not be foolish enough to activate the Tai Su lightning diagram. Otherwise, it might cause other troubles. Without activating the Tai Su lightning diagram, Ning Fan just activated the Tai Su lightning star on his glabella and used his great 5 elements physique to resist the lightning with his body. As he walked out of the sea of white lightning, Ning Fan remained unscathed. Kwang San's expression changed. He quickly rose to his feet and retreated, throwing a punch at Ning Fan's face. That fist light turned into a white lightning dragon. It widened its ferocious mouth and approached Ning Fan at an extremely fast speed. Then, it swallowed Ning Fan in a single gulp. Countless void fragmentation realm and life immortal realm old monsters exclaimed. From their point of view, Ning Fan would be either dead or gravely injured after taking that punch head-on. Kwang San, on the other hand, knitted his brows tightly. All of a sudden, he was shocked and hurriedly retreated. However, it was already too late. The lightning fist light gradually dissipated. There was no one at the place where it attacked. Behind Kwang San, traces of black shadows suddenly condensed into the figure of a young man in black robes. He raised his hand and took out a yin imprisoning rope. Then he tried to tie Kwang San up. Yin-yang transformation secret technique. That old devil Chen Qiu is actually a cultivator of the yin-yang transformation. Some experienced old monsters recognized the origin of the yin imprisoning rope and exclaimed in surprise. Kwang San was caught off guard. All of a sudden, he was tied up like a dumpling by the yin imprisoning rope. When the Yin imprisoning force entered his body, Kwang San's delicate body went limp. He could no longer maintain his disguise. With a flash of light, his disguise disappeared. He no longer looked like a burly man but a young girl in black robes. What a powerful bewitching technique! Forbidden technique, time reversal. The young girl in black bit the tip of her tongue and forcefully activated a certain forbidden technique. Her pretty face turned slightly pale. She was clearly tied up by the Yin imprisoning rope. Suddenly, the rope loosened and she fell to the ground. As for the young girl in black robes, she mysteriously appeared tens of steps away from where she was standing just now. She looked at Ning Fan with deep fear. Then she hurriedly moved 10,000 zhang away from him. After that, she quickly adjusted her inner qi to eliminate the remaining Yin imprisoning force in her body. There was dead silence in the surroundings. At the next moment, countless old monsters stood up abruptly and looked at the young girl in black in disbelief. This is the forbidden technique of the Northern Lost World Palace. She's a cultivator from the Northern Heaven. She's from the Lost World Palace. It's her. Hundreds of years ago, when I was traveling around the Northern Heaven, I once participated in a grand ceremony of the Lost World Palace and saw this girl. She's the second miss of the Northern Lost World Palace, Bei Qinghan. Rumor has it that among the 4 misses of the Lost World Palace, the eldest miss, Bei Shi, has the highest aptitude. However, the second miss is the only one in the entire Lost World Palace who has successfully cultivated the time-forbidden technique. Now that I've seen it, it's indeed true. The time reversal technique that she just used is definitely the time-forbidden technique of the Lost World Palace. So that's how it is. I was still thinking about how the hot-tempered old man of the Thick Earth sect would not tolerate his disciple betraying the sect and not pursue the matter. It turns out that he already knew that the person who betrayed the sect was the second miss of the Northern Lost World Palace. Of course, he wouldn't dare to pursue the matter. However, this girl is a cultivator of the Northern Heaven. Why did she come to our Eastern Heaven and compete with the prodigies of our Eastern Heaven for the disciple quota of the Slaughter Palace? The cultivators in all directions were discussing like a tide. The young girl's eyes darkened and she sneered. Since when did the Slaughter Palace set a rule that cultivators outside of Eastern Heaven can't join the Slaughter Palace? Cut the crap. Those who want the quota, come down and fight me. Those who are dissatisfied with me can attack me directly. If you continue to talk nonsense, I'll kill all of you. What an arrogant woman. However, she did have the right to be arrogant. She was the only person in the Lost World Palace who had successfully cultivated the time-forbidden technique. No old monster of the Lost World Palace would be willing to let her die. Even the great elder of the Lost World Palace who had a grudge against her mother would not be willing to kill her. If someone really dared to hurt Bei Qinghan, they would certainly have to bear the endless wrath of the Lost World Palace. The immortal king of the Dark Sea revealed a thoughtful expression. He looked at the young girl in black and then at Ning Fan without saying a word. Bei Qinghan was a member of the Lost World Palace. She would never abandon the Lost World Palace and join the Slaughter Palace. So, what was her purpose of coming to the Slaughter Palace? Was she here to have some fun? Or was she here for Ning Fan again? A boy who is destined to have a peach blossom. Each peach blossom has a bigger origin than the previous one. The immortal king of the Dark Sea looked at Ning Fan's back and suddenly laughed. Ning Fan's black robes fluttered in the wind. He looked at Bei Qinghan with a hint of emotion in his eyes. So, you are Xiaoman's second elder sister? This sentence was said through telepathy. The young girl in black was wearing a tight black robe. Her figure was extremely graceful. Her snow-white arms were exposed to the air and her forearms were wrapped with black silk. She wore a pair of black embroidered shoes without any stockings. Her snow-white ankles could be seen. Her black hair reached her waist, and the ends of her hair were tied up with a black hairband. The front part of her fringe was long and covered half of her face. Her beauty was enough to topple the world, but her expression was too cold. What I love to do the most is to bully her ruthlessly and snatch her things. However, most of her things are given to her by me. I treat her very well. After bullying her, I will coax her mercilessly. Bei Qinghan naturally would not say the latter half of her sentence. She did not expect that the cold man in front of her would reveal such a murderous expression when she said that she liked to bully Bei Xiaomen. Interesting. This man is not afraid of my identity. He was not moved by my peerless beauty at all. Instead, he would get angry for Bei Xiaomen. He seems to be a good man. Make your move. The competition is about to end. It's time to end this quickly. Ning Fan said coldly. His killing intent had already locked onto Bei Qinghan. He never knew that Bei Xiaoman was in such a difficult situation. Even her second elder sister would bully her. When he thought of Bei Xiaoman's suffering in the Northern Heaven Lost World Palace, his heart ached. He could not vent his anger. For the sake of Bei Xiaoman, he would not kill Bei Qinghan. However, he must teach her a lesson. In the Northern Heaven Lost World Palace, a certain unruly girl who had eaten her fill and slept well was lying on the chaise lounge comfortably. She was stretching her body comfortably. She did not know that her man was fighting her second elder sister. Bei Qinghan was very satisfied with Ning Fan's expression. She was even more satisfied with his killing intent. At this moment, she had already forgotten her original intention of coming here to snatch her man. Now, she just wanted to have a good fight with Ning Fan and see who is stronger. Immortal technique, white lightning. Bei Qinghan's petite body was filled with terrifying explosive power. Her soft fists danced in the air. In an instant, hundreds of lightning fist lights were shot out. Ning Fan's black hair danced wildly. His eyes flashed with cold light. He opened his mouth and swallowed all the lightning into his stomach. With a point of his finger, tens of thousands of black holes appeared in all of Bei Qinghan's paths of retreat, not giving her any chance to escape. Spatial vortex. The black holes emitted a boundless suction force, sucking Bei Qinghan into the spatial vortex realm in an instant. Bei Qinghan was shocked. Inwardly, she thought that this spatial vortex technique was really powerful. She changed her hand seals and displayed the time reversal technique again. Her figure appeared in every corner of the inner city like a ghost. Her footprints could be found in every corner of the inner city. With the time-forbidden technique, she could return to the place where she was standing at any point in time. Immortal technique, star-shattering. Bei Qinghan leaped into the air and stood in midair, avoiding the black holes one after another. Her soft fists danced in the air in a mysterious trajectory. At this moment, the Blood Sea Star, which was the Emperor's star, actually trembled. If she couldn't avoid the Black Tempest's soul-splitting technique, she would definitely die. If she still had her magic power, she would at most be severely injured. However, now that her magic power was restrained, she would definitely die. Seeing that the black shadows were about to kill her, Bei Qinghan let out a soft sigh and closed her eyes, looking like she was calmly waiting for death. Ning Fan had killed many people before. However, it was his first time seeing someone who was indifferent to death like Bei Qinghan. The more cold-blooded and bloodthirsty a devil lord was, the more they would be afraid of death. The more arrogant a person was, the more they would like to beg for mercy. Even those who were stubborn would more or less show resentment, regret, helplessness, and many other expressions before they die, even though they were not afraid of death. However, Bei Qinghan did not do that. She was cold and emotionless. She was indifferent to everything. To her, life or death did not make any difference. In the end, the black shadows did not kill Bei Qinghan. Ning Fan had never thought of killing this lady in the first place. He just wanted to teach her a lesson. The black shadow condensed and turned into Ning Fan in black robes. His left hand circled around Bei Qinghan's waist and clamped her hands. His right hand pinched her smooth chin and dislocated her lower jaw, not giving her the chance to bite the tip of her tongue. This posture was rather ambiguous. However, the person involved did not feel it at all. Instead of feeling the pain that she expected, Bei Qinghan opened her eyes. What she saw was a face that was as cold as ice. If you dare to bully Xiaoman again, I will definitely make you regret it. Without hesitation, he helped Bei Qinghan reattach her lower jaw. Then he took over her storage pouch and took out all the slaughter badges from it. He did not touch anything else. After all, she was Bei Xiaoman's elder sister. It would not be appropriate for Ning Fan to snatch her Dao crystal. He let go of Bei Qinghan's hands and returned the storage pouch to her. The time it takes for an incense stick to burn was up. As Qian Tuzi took out another spiritual arrow, the first round of the grand competition had officially ended. Ning Fan was the only one who could enter the second round of the grand competition with the slaughter badges. Of course, the immortal king of the Nether Sea would draw lots to decide the others who would advance to the next round. This was something that Ning Fan did not care about. Why didn't you kill me? Because you are Bei Xiaoman's elder sister. If I tell you that the reason why I bullied Bei Xiaoman is because I like her too much, would you believe me? Tise. What an arrogant fellow. However, he is quite powerful. Hiss. My chin hurts so much. My wrist hurts too. Both of them are bruised. Bei Qinghan glared at Ning Fan. Even if he wanted to help Bei Xiaoman vent her anger, he did not need to be so ruthless. Ning Fan directly turned his back to Bei Qinghan. He no longer showed any politeness towards her. He landed on the ground and walked towards the giant blood-red monument. There were many cultivators of the slaughter palace waiting for the participants to hand in their badges and register their results. The unconscious participants had already woken up one after another. Looking at the destroyed inner city, each of them was so shocked that they could not speak a word. When they saw that Ning Fan was the only one who handed in his badge, they could only smile bitterly. The first place in the first round of the grand competition is Ning Fan. A total of 79,442 silver badges and 159,820 bronze badges have been handed in. 5 points for the bronze badges and 50 points for the silver badges. Total points, 4771200. Ning Fan's result was reflected on the giant blood-red monument. The remaining 999 places were all empty. Presumably, no one would have expected such a result. It's boring. This is just the first round of the grand competition and you've already obtained 477 million points. Even if you still have the chance to participate in the next 3 rounds, who can beat you? Speaking of which, these points can all be converted into killing points in the future. 477 million points is almost equivalent to 47.7 billion Dao crystals. Bei Qinghan stretched her body elegantly and glanced at Ning Fan with a smile. Then, she suddenly turned into a ray of light and flew away from the Blood Sea Star. She was tired of playing and wanted to leave. When the old monsters saw Bei Qinghan leaving, they all had different looks in their eyes. However, none of them dared to attack her or ask her to stay. Ning Fan suddenly raised his head and stared at the back of the lady. It was because before she left, she actually transmitted her voice to him once again. I bullied Bei Xiaoman because I like her. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. Since I've lost to you today, I will definitely avenge myself in the future. I'm going back to the Northern Heaven. If you come to the Northern Heaven, remember to come and fight with me. Next time, I will certainly beat you up until you look for your teeth all over the ground. Chapter 733. A month later, the second round of the competition began. During this month, Ning Fan's life was considered peaceful. Yao Qingyun didn't make things difficult for him and Fei He didn't plot against him. The other 999 people had already been selected by drawing lots, and all of them were busy recuperating. When the Slaughter Palace announced that they were going to draw lots to decide who would advance, countless old monsters expressed their opposition. Unfortunately, the Nether Sea Immortal King's cold gaze silenced all of them. Ning Fan was not concerned about whether or not there were other people who advanced to the next round. After the first round of the competition, he had already defeated all the cultivators of the same generation. These people would not be a hindrance for him to join the slaughter hall. The only troublesome person, Bei Qinghan, had already left. If nothing unexpected happened, he would join the slaughter hall. Of course, before he truly joined the massacre hall, he still had to be cautious. He could not afford to fail miserably. Ning Fan frowned as he held the latest report in his hand. The content of the second round was to challenge Tong Tian Tower. Sky Split Tower was the smelting trial for the disciples of the Slaughter Temple. In normal circumstances, the disciples of the Slaughter Temple had to spend a massive amount of slaughter points to obtain the opportunity to challenge Sky Split Tower. After all, every time he opened a floor of Tong Tian Tower, he would need to spend a large amount of Dao Crystal. The higher the floor you challenge, the more kill points you expend, and the greater the benefits you obtain. This was a treasure land to raise one's cultivation. It is greatly beneficial to Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators, Life Immortals and True Immortals. The rules for the second round were very simple. Everyone would start from the first level, and the top 100 cultivators would advance to the third round. It was said that the second round of the competition was not to challenge the Tower of Babel, but the Nether Sea Immortal King changed the rules at the last minute. Letting 1,000 participants challenge Tong Tian Tower would cost at least hundreds of billions of Dao Crystal. It had to be said that the Nether Sea Immortal King was very generous. Some people said that the Nether Sea Deity King had changed the rules of the grand competition because he had taken a fancy to one of the contestants, and so he was bestowing an opportunity to that contestant. Some said that the Nether Sea Immortal King was trying to appease the old monsters. After all, there were too many injured people in the first round of the competition. Many of the participants' elders were complaining. No one knew the exact reason why the Nether Sea Deity King changed the rules at the last minute. The heaven-reaching tower was within the Massacre Blood Palace. It was so tall that the top could not be seen, and it had a total of 210 floors. The surface of the tower was blood red in color. It was covered with ancient and unadorned formation patterns. With Ning Fan's attainments in the Tao of formations, he could not see through the profoundness of those formation patterns at all. There were trillions of Dao crystal buried under the base of the tower. Every time someone entered Tong Tian Tower, they would consume Dao crystal. The higher the level of the tower, the more Dao crystal would be consumed. When Ning Fan arrived, the two tall platforms and the vast sky were already filled with old monsters. All of them were staring at the heaven-connecting tower with fiery eyes. The fact that Sky Split and thought-fragmenting True Immortals were so excited, it was easy to imagine how tempting the Sky Split Tower was. The inner city had already been rebuilt. The other 999 participants were standing behind Ning Fan. All of them kept a large distance from him. Their eyes were filled with respect and fear when they looked at him. There were quite a few cultivators in the second round who were in the 7th and 8th fragmentation stages. Their strength wasn't top-notch, but their luck wasn't bad, so they were able to enter the second round. Yu Kuan and Qi Zhen also entered the second round. They were the only two remaining Life Immortal Realm participants. Their eyes were also filled with respect when they looked at Ning Fan. Yu Kuan knew that he was no match for Ning Fan. Qi Zhen looked at Ning Fan's back and could only smile bitterly. He no longer had any intention to challenge him. Ning Fan remained silent and waited for the competition to begin. Not long after that, Qian Tuzi and a group of ghost-masked assassins led Ning Fan and the other participants into the Blood Palace and walked to the bottom of the Heaven-Connecting Tower. The Heaven-Connecting Tower was not concealed. All the old monsters outside could use their spirit sense to check the place. The immortal king of the Nether Sea sat on the jade platform and sipped his spiritual wine. His eyes were filled with a smile as he looked at Ning Fan, who was standing far away. I wonder how many floors this young man can go to. The immortal king of the Nether Sea muttered to himself. Yao Qingyun's eyes were cold. Sometimes she would stare at Ning Fan's back. There was still a hint of hostility in her eyes, but it was mostly filled with confusion. In the third round of the competition, I will also change the content. It will be about opening the ancient sacrificial altar. Do you understand? The immortal king of the Nether Sea's voice that carried a hint of reproach suddenly entered Yao Qingyun's ears. Yao Qingyun was startled. In the end, she closed her eyes and said bitterly, "Thank you, great elder." The immortal king of the Nether Sea nodded his head in satisfaction. Those who cultivate the Tao of slaughter should be able to distinguish kindness and hatred clearly. Kindness is kindness and hatred is hatred. The Yao clan did not owe Yao Qingyun anything but hatred. Ning Fan massacred the Yao clan, but he did not owe Yao Qingyun anything. All along, it was Yao Qingyun's obsession. Reason could be clearly distinguished, but it was hard to tell who was right and who was wrong. From the immortal king of the Nether Sea's point of view, Yao Qingyun's affection was not wrong. However, she should not waste her affection on her former enemy. She should not forget the humiliation she suffered that day. If she could not even sort out the kindness and hatred in the past, she would not be qualified to be an elder of the Slaughter Palace. Time passed by slowly. When it was noon, Qian Tuzi began to announce the rules of the second round of the competition. In the second round of the competition, all of you will be lucky enough to enter the Heaven Connecting Tower. Only one person can enter the Heaven Connecting Tower at a time. The order of entry will be based on the number of people who were drawn on that day. After one person completed his challenge, the next person would enter. For the first 10 floors of the Heaven Connecting Tower, your score will be increased by 10,000 points for each floor you pass. From the 11th to the 20th floor, your score will be increased by 20,000 points for each floor you pass. From the 21st to the 30th floor, your score will be increased by 40,000 points for each floor you pass. For every 10 floors you pass, your score will be doubled. You can stay on each floor for a maximum of 1 day. If you fail to pass the floor within a day, the challenge will end. If you are defeated by the Golden Man in the tower, the challenge will end. If you give up, the challenge will end. You can keep all the opportunities you obtain in the tower. The second round of the competition does not restrict any ability. Now, the second round of the competition begins. Number 1, start the challenge. Number 2, get ready. As soon as Qian Tuzi's voice fell, a participant holding the number 1 jade lot walked out of the crowd with an excited expression. He was a 7th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator. Ning Fan watched him enter the tower with a deep frown on his face. The reason why he frowned was because he did not have a jade lot in his hand. He did not advance to the next round by drawing lots. In other words, he had to wait for the 999 participants who drew lots to complete the challenge before he could begin. As far as Ning Fan knew, every floor of the heaven-reaching tower was guarded by golden men. However, he did not know the exact cultivation level of the golden men. However, in his opinion, a participant should at least be able to pass through a few floors. One could stay on each floor for a maximum of 1 day. In other words, it would take a few days for a person to pass through the floors alone. Those who were stronger would spend more than 10 days. In that case, wouldn't the second round of the competition last for several years or even tens of years? Nuan Er's body could not last that long. A miserable shriek dispelled all of Ning Fan's worries. He saw that the first genius who entered the tower was sent out by a ray of golden light as soon as he entered the tower. His entire body was bathed in blood as he coughed out blood along the way. That person was holding a jade slip of the Life Immortal Realm attack. However, he did not have the time to use it at all. Hiss! Countless gasps could be heard from the crowd. Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly solemn. In the second round of the competition, Yao Qingyun seemed to have changed. She did not cause any trouble and did not add any rules to make things difficult for Ning Fan. In this round of the competition, the participants could use the jade slips given to them by their seniors. Even so, that genius who entered the Life Immortal Realm only stayed on the first floor for a breath of time before he was sent out by the Golden Man on the first floor. Did that Golden Man have a profound cultivation base, or did he have some strange abilities? He actually managed to severely injure that cultivator who entered the Life Immortal Realm before he even had the time to use his jade slip. It seems like the difficulty of this heaven-reaching tower is far greater than what I imagined. I'm afraid it won't take much time for 1,000 people to pass through the tower. Just as Ning Fan had expected, the people who drew lots number 2, number 3 and number 4 only stayed in the tower for a breath of time before they were sent out by the Golden Man. The person who drew lots number 5 was a rogue immortal cultivator. He held a jade slip of the Life Immortal Realm attack in his hand. He seemed to know some secrets of the heaven-reaching tower. With a serious expression, he entered the tower. As soon as he entered the tower, he took out his jade slip of the Life Immortal Realm attack without any hesitation and went to the second floor as he wished. However, he was immediately sent out by the Golden Man on the second floor. When he passed through the first floor of the tower shone with golden light. As fortunately, this rogue immortal prodigy was sent out of the tower by the golden light. His body was covered with blood as he fell to the ground. Looking at the first floor of the tower that was shining with golden light, he actually revealed a satisfied smile. He knew how difficult it was to pass through the tower. Since he could pass through the first floor, he had a great chance to enter the top 100 and advance to the third round. Moreover, he had already obtained a lot of opportunities after passing through the first round. He was satisfied. There were more than 400 rogue immortal prodigies in this place. The rest of them were cultivators at the 7th and 8th break realm. Among the prodigies who were below the rogue immortal realm, it was rare for them to pass through the first floor even if they had the attack jade slips given by their seniors. Even among the rogue immortal prodigies, not all of them could pass through the first floor. It had only been 2 hours, but 800 people had already passed through the first floor. Among these 800 people, only 47 of them passed through the first floor, 12 of them passed through the second floor, and only 3 of them passed through the third floor. Isn't the difficulty of the heaven-reaching tower a little too high for these participants? In my humble opinion, there won't be more than 100 people who can pass through the first floor. An elder of the slaughter palace sighed and said, "Those who pass through the first floor are considered qualified and can advance to the third round. If there aren't enough people to advance to the next round, we'll draw lots to make up for it." The Nether Sea Immortal King said with a smile. "Drawing lots again." That elder was speechless, but he did not dare to refute the Nether Sea Immortal King's order. Number 845 was Yu Kuan. Yu Kuan's natal magical treasure, the Misty Moon Blade, was destroyed by Ning Fan, which greatly reduced his strength. However, he was still an early human profound realm life immortal after all. A skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. It was impossible for him to stop at the first 3 floors like the other rogue immortals. He entered the heaven-reaching tower confidently. Soon, the first floor of the tower shone with golden light. Then the second and third floors all lit up. Without any pause, Yu Kuan killed his way to the 10th floor. The first 10 floors all shone with golden light. When he reached the 11th floor, Yu Kuan seemed to have stopped for a long time. However, he eventually defeated the Golden Man on the 11th floor. The 11th floor shone with golden light. After a long time, the 12th floor finally shone with golden light. 2 hours later, Yu Kuan was sent out of the heaven-reaching tower by the golden light. His body was covered with blood. His injuries were extremely severe, but his face was filled with joy. He seemed to have obtained a great fortune in the heaven-reaching tower. His chi had become much stronger. This young man is a rogue cultivator. He doesn't have any trump cards or abilities given to him by his seniors. It's barely satisfactory for him to pass the 12th floor. If it were in the previous years, he would already be qualified to join the slaughter palace. Unfortunately, someone stronger has appeared this time. The Nether Sea Immortal King looked at Ning Fan with a faint smile. From the beginning to the end, the only person who could pique his interest was Ning Fan. After Yu Kuan, another 100 or so participants entered the heaven-reaching tower. When it was number 977, Qizhen walked out of the crowd and entered the heaven-reaching tower. Just like Yu Kuan, Qizhen passed through the first 10 floors without stopping at all. Qizhen spent about 20 breaths of time to pass the 11th floor. Qizhen spent about 100 breaths of time to pass the 12th floor. Qizhen spent the time it took for an incense stick to burn to pass the 13th floor. Qizhen spent 2 hours to pass the 14th floor. On the 15th floor, Qizhen seemed to be in a tough battle. He had no choice but to use his trump card. Hence, Qizhen passed the 15th floor at an extremely fast speed and kept going all the way to the 18th floor. On the 18th floor, Qizhen was in a tough battle again. 4 hours later, he finally passed the 18th floor and made his way to the 19th floor. In the end, he was defeated on the 19th floor. When Qizhen was teleported out of the heaven-reaching tower by the golden light, many old monsters' expressions changed. Qizhen actually had 3 natal demon pets behind him. All of them were true spirit vermilion birds. This young man cultivates the demon managing scripture of the demon managing sect. The more natal demon pets he has, the stronger his abilities will be. In the history of the demon managing sect, there are only a few people who could subdue a third natal demon pet. This young man is an outstanding individual. The reason why the demon managing sect sent him here is probably because they want him to join the slaughter palace and use him to erase the incident of him offending us. If it's in the previous years, this young man definitely has the strength to get the first place in the competition. Unfortunately, Ning Fan is here this time. The Nether Sea Immortal King chuckled. His eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. His eyes gradually became serious. He just wanted to see Ning Fan pass the tower alone. Soon, it would be Ning Fan's turn. After Qijin finished passing the floors, the remaining 22 people who drew lots quickly passed the floors. Among the 999 people who drew lots, only 75 of them passed at least one floor of the tower and were qualified to advance to the third round. Ning Fan looked at the blood-red tower that towered into the sky. His heart was as calm as still water. Under the gaze of countless people, he stepped into the blood-red door of the heaven-reaching tower. Everyone in the world knew that Ning Fan's strength was unparalleled among his peers. Naturally, his result in passing the tower would be the best among 1,000 people. However, no one knew what kind of result Ning Fan would get and how many floors he would pass. As soon as he entered the door of light, he saw a golden palace. The inside of the tower had its own space. This golden palace was 1 million zhang in size and height. At the moment Ning Fan entered the golden palace, a cold, killing intent locked onto him. Golden light flashed. A golden armored giant whose cultivation base was comparable to a rogue immortal made a series of hand seals at a terrifying speed. In an instant, he formed incomparably profound and complicated finger shadows. In the blink of an eye, 7 layers of golden palm imprints overlapped on his palm and merged into one. The golden man slammed his palm down. The palm imprint carried a terrifying heavenly might as if it was going to pierce through heaven and earth. The golden man's attack was too fast. Non-life immortal cultivators would not be able to defend against this palm print. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. No wonder so many geniuses were blasted out of the heaven-reaching tower before they could even take out their jade slips. This golden man was indeed very powerful. Even an early-stage mystic life immortal would not be able to withstand its palm print. Burn! With a stomp of his foot, the golden floor suddenly shattered into pieces. 18 black fire dragons suddenly flew out from the ground and burned the golden palm print into nothingness. Then, the golden man was instantly incinerated. After the golden man was incinerated, a golden fruit slowly appeared where the golden man had perished. Ning Fan's expression changed slightly. He raised his hand and caught the golden fruit. It was a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. However, it was different from an ordinary void fragmentation realm Dao fruit. This was extremely pure magical power that could be directly devoured without wasting time to refine. Not only that, Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then he suddenly swallowed the golden fruit. In an instant, his magic power that had clearly reached the limit of the first step actually increased a little. To the current Ning Fan, the amount of magic power that a void fragmentation realm Dao fruit could provide was too little. However, the mysterious thing about this golden Dao fruit was that it could continue to increase Ning Fan's magic power that had reached the limit. All of a sudden, Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. The golden Dao fruit that was cut out from the heaven-connecting tower could not only increase one's magic power but also the upper limit of a cultivator's magic power. The reason why cultivators who did not rely on immortal seeds to become immortals was because their magic power was 30% higher than immortal seeds cultivators. Among cultivators of the same level, non-immortal seeds cultivators would always have 30% more magic power than immortal seeds cultivators. Naturally, they would be much more powerful. This golden Dao fruit could increase the upper limit of one's magic power. Its value and significance were far beyond that of an ordinary Dao fruit. Now, Ning Fan was more concerned about whether this golden Dao fruit would appear every time he killed a golden man or whether it would appear with a small probability like an ordinary Dao fruit. With doubts in his heart, Ning Fan's figure flashed and flew into the teleportation formation, teleporting to the second floor. There were 2 rogue Immortal Realm golden men in the second floor. The moment Ning Fan appeared, the 2 golden men formed hand seals in a frenzy. 7 palm imprints combined into one and sent out a sky-covering golden palm strike at Ning Fan. What kind of strength did Ning Fan have? Of course, he was not afraid of 2 rogue Immortal Realm golden men. Ning Fan raised his finger and pointed at the sky. Black flames burned the 2 palm imprints and the 2 golden men to ashes. After the golden men were burned to ashes, 2 golden Dao fruits slowly emerged. Ning Fan bent his palm and waved. The 2 Dao fruits flew into his hand and he swallowed them. His eyes flashed. All the golden men in the Heaven Connecting Tower could produce golden Dao fruits. No wonder countless old monsters coveted the Heaven Connecting Tower of the Slaughter Palace. So that's why. Chapter 734. In the cultivation world, there were heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures that could increase the upper limit of one's magic power, but they were just too rare. This golden Dao fruit could increase the upper limit of one's magic power. It was definitely a rare item. It was no wonder that the cultivators of the Slaughter Palace were always unrivaled at the same level as them. The secret of this golden Dao fruit might be the reason. Since there was such a fortune in the heaven-reaching tower, it was necessary for him to go all out and challenge this tower. He had opened the first orifice of the ancient god realm. To him, the medicinal power of the golden Dao fruit could be doubled. With a determined look, Ning Fan stepped into the teleportation formation and went to the 3rd floor. There were 3 loose immortal golden men on the 3rd floor. At the moment Ning Fan appeared on the 3rd floor, the 3 golden men moved their fingers and combined their 7 imprints into one, sending out a golden palm that blotted out the sky. That palm imprint was indescribably mysterious. The palm imprints that the 3 golden men sent out seemed to be different from each other. The 3 completely different palm imprints seemed to have something in common. However, when Ning Fan took a closer look, he found that they were vastly different. What a strange palm imprint! Burn. After killing the 3 golden men with a lift of his finger and devouring the golden Dao fruits, Ning Fan went all the way to the next floor. The 4th floor, the 5th floor, the 6th floor, there would be 1 more loose immortal golden man in each floor he ascended. There were 10 loose immortal golden men guarding the 10th floor. However, they were all turned into ashes by Ning Fan's black flame palm imprint. On his way to the 10th floor, Ning Fan consumed a total of 55 golden Dao fruits. The upper limit of his magic power had increased by about 3%. Along the way, Ning Fan realized that each of the golden men displayed the same type of ability. The hand seals were obviously the same, but the palm imprints were different from each other. It was different from the Execution Devil Palm. The grade of the Execution Devil Palm was very low, and it was divided into countless palms by the giants. Therefore, it looked different from each other. The grade of the palm imprints displayed by the golden men far exceeded Ning Fan's cultivation base. Each of the golden men displayed a complete ability. However, the ability they displayed was different in appearance. Ning Fan stood on the 10th floor and remained silent for a long time. He was not in a hurry to go to the 11th floor. He suddenly became interested in this extremely high-grade golden palm technique. He imitated those golden men's hand seals. Gradually, layers of palm imprints condensed on his palms. When 7 layers of palm imprints appeared, Ning Fan combined them into one and sent out a palm strike. This palm transformed into a golden palm that blotted out the sky. Its momentum was vast, but its power was extremely weak. This palm strike probably wouldn't even be able to kill an ordinary loose immortal. You only have the form but not the essence. Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. This palm imprint was not a body technique. He could not use Mo Luo's eye to copy or learn it secretly. If Ning Fan had not grasped the essence of this palm imprint, the destructive power of this palm imprint would be far inferior to the black flame palm imprint that Ning Fan casually threw out. Ning Fan realized that he had stayed on the 10th floor for too long. With a flash, he flew into the teleportation formation and entered the 11th floor. There was only one golden man guarding the 11th floor, but it was at the early stage of the human profound realm. The golden man still combined his 7 palms into one and sent out palm imprints to attack Ning Fan. Because it was an early-stage human profound realm goldman, its attacks were much faster than the loose immortal goldman. The palm imprint displayed by this golden man seemed to have something more than the palm imprint of the loose immortal golden man. With a flick of his finger, the black flames that blotted out the sky engulfed the golden man and the palm imprint. The mid-grade 8th grade yin-yang devil flame was unstoppable even for late human profound realm golden men. As for early human profound realm experts, they would not be able to withstand it. After the golden man was destroyed, a golden Tao fruit was born. It was a life-immortal realm Tao fruit. The energy it contained was far beyond what a void fragmentation realm Tao fruit could compare with. Ning Fan held the Tao fruit in his hand and swallowed it. Just a single Tao fruit had increased Ning Fan's magic power and the upper limit of his magic power by around 5%. Without staying on the 11th floor, Ning Fan flew to the 12th floor with a flash. After the 2 early human profound realm golden men sent out their sky-covering golden palms, Ning Fan turned his hand and sent out 2 black flaming palm imprints, killing the 2 golden men and swallowing 2 golden Tao fruits. The 13th floor, the 14th floor, the 15th floor. Along the way to the 20th floor, Ning Fan's expression was still calm even when he was surrounded by 10 early human profound realm golden men. Along the way to this floor, his magic power had increased tremendously. Even though he had yet to break through to the life-immortal realm, his magic power was already comparable to an early human profound realm expert. 10 early human profound realm golden men were not enough to stop him at all. As the flaming palms flew out, the 10 golden men turned into ashes. After swallowing the 10 golden Tao fruits, Ning Fan's magic power improved tremendously again. In terms of magic power alone, he was no weaker than an ordinary early human profound realm expert. Ning Fan did not rush to the next floor. He closed his eyes and replayed the scenes of the golden men displaying their palm imprints on the first 20 floors in his mind. He seemed to have understood something, but he still felt that there was a barrier that he could not break through. He stood on the 20th floor for a very, very long time. In the outside world, the first 10 floors of the heaven-reaching tower had already shone with golden light one after another. However, the 11th floor had yet to be lit up. At that time, Ning Fan was still comprehending the palm imprints on the 10th floor. Naturally, the people in the outside world would not know about it. No one thought that Ning Fan would stop at the 10th floor. Many of them guessed that Ning Fan was spending time to recover his magic power in order to enter the 11th floor in his peak state. However, after Ning Fan passed the 20th floor, he did not go to the 21st floor for a long time. Many old monsters began to discuss among themselves, thinking that Ning Fan was probably going to stop at the 20th floor. Even though Ning Fan had a lot of offensive jade slips and he also had the explosion secret technique, his cultivation base was still low after all. The golden man on the 21st floor was at the mid-human profound realm. His attacks were extremely fast. If Ning Fan was not given any time to use his trump cards, he might not necessarily lose. It seems like that old ancestor Qian Qiu is having a hard battle on the 21st floor. Since he still hasn't passed this floor after such a long time, the chances of him passing this floor are not high. Even if he passes this floor, the next one will certainly be difficult to pass. The 20th floor, huh? With his cultivation base, it's already not bad for him to pass this floor. The one who spoke was a young man in golden armor. His expression was filled with disdain. His name was Jin Guang. He had a cultivation base at the peak human profound realm. He was a cultivator of the Eastern Heaven who joined the Slaughter Palace a few years ago. In the past, he had also won the first place in the grand competition. However, the cultivators who participated in the competition were not as lucky as the cultivators of this year. In this grand competition, the immortal king of the Nether Sea did not hesitate to spend a huge sum of money to activate the heaven-reaching tower. It was really too easy for the juniors who participated in this competition. 300 years ago, Jin Guang spent all the killing points that he had accumulated for 1,000 years to challenge the heaven-reaching tower once. At that time, he passed the 33rd floor with a late human profound realm cultivation base. With the help of the golden Dao fruit that he obtained, he went into seclusion for 100 years and broke through to the peak human profound realm. Jin Guang had slaughtered for 1,000 years and completed countless killing missions before he accumulated enough killing points to enter the heaven-reaching tower once. On the other hand, the juniors of this year could enter the heaven-reaching tower for free without doing anything. In comparison, Jin Guang really could not accept it. Naturally, he did not have a good impression of Ning Fan, who had the best result in this grand competition. There was also a hint of sarcasm in his words. Brother Jin's words agree with me. Even if that old ancestor Qian Qiu did not stop at the 20th floor, he would definitely stop at the 21st floor. The other tall young man who was at the early ghost profound realm nodded in agreement. His name was Gao Yuan. He was also a heaven's pride of the eastern heaven who joined the slaughter palace in the past. He had painstakingly accumulated 700 years of killing points before he could enter the heaven-reaching tower once. He was really too jealous of the luck of this year's cultivators. Why did this year's cultivators get to enjoy the generous treatment of entering the heaven-reaching tower? Jealousy filled his heart with resentment towards Ning Fan, who was the champion of this year. No matter how he looked at Ning Fan, he just could not find it pleasing to his eyes. While the two of them were talking, a timid voice of a girl suddenly sounded. I don't think that old ancestor Qian Qiu will stop at the 21st floor. He is so powerful and has so many trump cards. At the very least, he should be able to reach the 30th floor. The one who spoke was a little girl in blue robes. Her cultivation base was at the intermediate human profound realm. She was once the daughter of the Lu family of the Eastern Heaven. Her name was Lu Exa. After the Lu family was annihilated, she escaped alone and won the first place in the grand competition 2,000 years ago. After that, she joined the slaughter palace. Her appearance was not too beautiful, but it was considered delicate and pleasant. When they saw that the one who spoke was Lu Exen, who had no background and strength, Jin Guang and Gao Yuan snorted disdainfully. From their point of view, only a fool would think that Ning Fan could reach the 30th floor. Lu Exer's face was flushed. She just thought that Ning Fan could reach the 30th floor. She had completely blindly believed in Ning Fan. This little girl had already been captivated by Ning Fan's black robes and his elegant demeanor of defeating all the heaven's pride. After the Lu family was annihilated, this girl joined the slaughter palace. To be able to join the slaughter palace, it meant that this girl's talent and cultivation were not bad, but after all, she was still too inexperienced. Ning Fan's elegant demeanor of defeating all the geniuses was too dazzling. Lu Exe was not the only girl who was captivated by him. Of course, there were also quite a number of children who were frightened by Ning Fan's fierce name. Lu Exe, since you think that Ning Fan can go up to the 30th floor, why don't we make a bet? A short young man with shifty eyes walked towards them. His name was Sun Yen, and he was an eastern sky cultivator who joined the slaughter hall tens of thousands of years ago. Now, he was already at the middle stage of the ghost profound realm. Upon seeing Sun Yen, Jin Guang and Gao Yuan cupped their fists and greeted him. Sun Yen waved his hand and chuckled. What? Lu Exe? Don't you think he can go up to the 30th floor? Why don't you dare to bet with me? I insist on betting that he will not be able to reach the 30th floor. I will bet 500 million Dao crystal. Having said that, Sun Yen winked at Jin Guang and Gao Yuan. The two of them understood and followed suit. I also bet 500 million. Bet that Ning Fan can't reach the 30th floor. I'll also bet 500 million. I bet that Ning Fan will not be able to reach the 30th floor. Sun Yen nodded his head in satisfaction and said to Lu Exen Air. Look, the three of us have taken out 5 billion to bet with you. Don't you believe that Ning Fan can go up to the 30th floor? Do you dare to bet with us? If you win 5 billion Dao crystal will belong to you. If you lose, Sun Yen's shifty eyes scanned across Lu Exen Air's delicate body. She immediately hugged her body and took half a step back. Then she said timidly, I won't bet with my body. Who wants your small body? How can your small body be worth 5 billion? What I want is the quicksand pearl that you obtained in the secret place of quicksand. That's a rather powerful high-grade immortal treasure. It's almost comparable to a peak-grade immortal treasure. It can at least be used up to the true crossing realm. I won't bet on the quicksand pearl. I want to sell it. It can be sold for 2 billion Dao crystal. It's not up to you whether you want to bet or not. It's up to us. Sun Yen harumphed in displeasure. The little girl was so frightened that she did not dare to speak anymore. All right. Take out the quicksand pearl and leave it with me first. You will lose sooner or later anyway. If you are lucky enough to win, I will give you the pearl and all the Dao crystal. Sun Yen glared at Lu X in air. She gritted her teeth and took out a purple pearl, passing it to Sun Yen. Sun Yen received the quicksand pearl. His shifty eyes turned into crescents. He chuckled and felt extremely proud of himself. He naturally did not believe that Ning Fan could reach the 30th floor. Thus, he was not the least bit interested in him challenging the heaven-reaching tower. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, he suddenly stopped and turned around in disbelief. All of a sudden, golden light shone brightly on the 21st floor of the heaven-reaching tower. Then, the 22nd floor and the 23rd floor lit up one after another. Along the way up the tower, golden lights lit up one after another. Eventually, the 30th floor also shone brightly. That Ning Fan is just a void fragmentation realm cultivator. He actually managed to get to the 30th floor. Jin Guang, Gao Yuan and Sun Yen's expressions changed. At this moment, there were many old monsters in the entire inner city who felt slightly surprised. From the 21st floor onwards, Ning Fan only had to face mid-human profound realm golden men. With Ning Fan's magic power that had skyrocketed, he could instantly kill a mid-human profound realm golden man by using the black flame palm imprint with all his might. Relying on the power of the yin-yang flame, Ning Fan went all the way to the 30th floor. Even when he faced 10 mid-human profound realm golden men, he could still kill all of them with a single palm strike. His current strength was no longer as weak as when he first entered the eastern sky. After eating the 55 mid-human profound realm golden Dao fruits, Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed again, almost reaching the peak of early human profound realm. Before becoming an immortal, his magic power was already close to mid-human profound realm. Once he becomes an immortal, his magic power would skyrocket again. Perhaps he could directly skip the early human profound realm and break through to the mid-human profound realm. On the 30th floor, Ning Fan closed his eyes as usual. The scenes of the golden men executing their palm strikes replayed in his mind. His comprehension was getting deeper and deeper, but there was still a layer of barrier that prevented him from comprehending it. If I'm not mistaken, there are two great opportunities in this heaven-reaching tower. One is the golden Dao fruit and the other is the golden palm imprint. The Dao fruit is easy to obtain, but the palm imprint is hard to comprehend. What exactly is that barrier that I can't cross? Ning Fan opened his eyes and put away his distracting thoughts. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to recover his magic power. When his magic power had fully recovered, his figure flashed and entered the 31st floor. The one guarding the 31st floor was a late human profound realm golden man. A late human profound realm expert was no longer someone Ning Fan could kill with a single palm strike. In order to eliminate a late human profound realm expert, Ning Fan could only rely on the spatial vortex technique and the three flowers converging prominence technique. After activating the millions of lotus shadows to defend himself, no matter how strong the late human profound realm golden man was, he could not break through Ning Fan's defense. As for Ning Fan, he relied on the power of the spatial vortex technique to open a black hole with his palm and forcefully take the golden man away, killing him in the spatial vortex realm. After swallowing the golden Dao fruit, Ning Fan stepped into the teleportation formation and entered the 32nd floor. There were two late human profound realm golden men guarding this floor. If they joined forces, they might not be any easier to deal with than Bei Qinghan. Fortunately, Ning Fan had killed his way to the 32nd floor. His magic power had increased by more than 10 times compared to before he entered the tower. Therefore, after a tough battle, he still managed to eliminate the 2 golden men. There were 3 golden men on the 33rd floor. It was definitely not easy for Ning Fan to win this battle. It was not easy to ambush 3 golden men with the spatial vortex technique. When the 3 golden men joined forces, they would usually destroy the black hole as soon as it appeared. Unfortunately, Ning Fan's 3 flowers converging prominence technique was too powerful. No late human profound realm experts could hurt him. Facing the late human profound realm golden men, Ning Fan was already in an invincible position. Even though it was difficult to win using the spatial vortex technique, it was still possible. The 34th floor, the 35th floor, the 36th floor, Ning Fan continuously went to higher floors. Even though the time required to break through each floor was getting longer and longer, he still passed the 40th floor in the end. After consuming the golden Dao fruits, Ning Fan's magic power was already comparable to the middle level of mid-human profound realm. The palm imprints and abilities of the golden men replayed in his mind. After a long time, he opened his eyes. Looking at the teleportation formation that led to the 41st floor, Ning Fan was slightly hesitant. The one guarding the 41st floor must be a peak human profound realm golden man. Even if Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed, it would still be difficult for him to defeat a golden man of this level. Although his magic power was strong, it was limited by his realm and his divine abilities were still too weak. Unless he broke through to the life immortal realm and practiced some powerful second-step divine abilities, he would not be able to defeat the peak of the human Xian realm. If I use offensive jade slips, array discs, and immortal talismans, I can clear the 41st level, or even the 42nd level. If I use the deity blast technique, I'm confident that I can reach a higher level. Ning Fan's brows were tightly knitted together. He scanned the cauldron world with his spirit sense. Zili had already formed a cocoon, and her aura was getting stronger and stronger. Currently, Zili's aura was already close to the peak of the human profound realm. Presumably, when she truly awakens, even if she isn't at the peak of the human profound realm, she would still be at the early stage of the ghost profound realm. It would be great if Zili was already awake. With Zili's unrivaled strength, Ning Fan would at least be able to reach the 50th floor. Now that Zili had not woken up, he could only think of another way. Or he could give up on his methods and stake everything on a single gamble, killing his way to a higher level and obtaining a golden Dao fruit to increase his magic power. Or he could keep his life-saving trump card and decisively giving up on the heaven-reaching tower's lucky chance. Ning Fan pondered for a while and finally made up his mind. The deity blast technique was currently his strongest life-saving trump card. He must not use it casually. After all, it was too difficult to gather primordial spirits of life immortal realm cultivators. As for those jade slips, immortal talismans, and array discs of the profound ghost attack and the Dujin attack, he could still use them. After all, he could always buy them again after using them. The golden Dao fruit was a great opportunity. Having more of them was better than nothing. Having made up his mind, Ning Fan stood up and stepped into the teleportation formation, appearing on the 41st level. The golden man on the 41st level was completely different from the giant he encountered before. His body was pure gold in color. His eyes, however, were made of black crystals. They were very lively as if he was a living person. Heaven's seizing seal. With a cold shout, his golden fingers moved like shadows and formed 7 palm imprints in an instant. The 7 palms combined into one and slammed down on Ning Fan. He was the first golden man that Ning Fan encountered after entering the tower who could speak. His eyes contained an emotion that the other golden men did not have. That emotion was contempt towards the heavens. The palm imprints that he displayed were called the heaven-seizing seal. Seizing the heavens was an action that was even more rebellious than defying the heavens. Following the heavens, evading the heavens, deceiving the heavens and deceiving the heavens. These kinds of cultivators lacked the intention of defying the heavens. Thus, their path towards the Tao was difficult. After all, Cultivating the Tao was something that defied the heavens. Those who defy the heavens would go against the heavens and cultivate against the heavens. Even though they had the intention of defying the heavens and dared to defy the heavens' will, they were still in a position where the heavens were above them and humans were below them. Only when the heavens had a decree would humans be able to defy it. Defying was not the highest realm. The highest realm was heaven seizing. The opportunity of seizing the heavens, usurping the position of the heavens and appointing oneself as the heavens. The cultivators of heaven seizing stood at the same height as the heavens. Therefore, to display this heaven seizing seal, one must have the intention of seizing the heavens. The heavens regarded all living beings as ants. Those who wished to seize the heavens must look down on the heavens like ants. Only then could they stand above the heavens. Traces of enlightenment emerged in his mind. He finally understood what that barrier was. Without saying anything, Ning Fan consecutively took out 2 immortal talismans of the profound ghost attack and destroyed the Golden Man and the palm imprints. A single profound ghost attack was not enough to kill a peak human profound realm cultivator. After swallowing the golden Tao fruit, Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Suddenly, his 10 fingers moved rapidly and formed hand seals. He finished forming the hand seals in an instant. When he opened his palm, 7 layers of golden palm imprints gradually appeared on his palm. When the 7 layers of palm imprints merged into one, Ning Fan sent out a palm strike. The golden palm that blotted out the sky immediately fell from the sky. The power of this palm strike had actually sucked away all of his magic power in an instant. The power of this palm strike was comparable to a mid-ghost profound realm attack. What level of ability is this? With my magic power that is comparable to a mid-human profound realm cultivator, I can actually exert the power of a mid-ghost profound realm attack. Heaven Seizing Seal. Heaven Seizing Seal. Who exactly is the person who created this palm imprint? How dare he have the intention of seizing the heavens? The current me can be considered to have comprehended the essence of the Heaven Seizing Seal. However, my understanding of the specific technique of the palm imprint is still far from enough. Besides, I keep feeling that the Heaven Seizing Seal that I have comprehended is not complete. Is it an illusion? In the outside world, on the Jade platform, Immortal King Nethersea's eyes suddenly flashed as if he had seen something unbelievable. Heaven Seizing Seal. This kid's comprehension was really high. He could actually comprehend the Heaven Seizing Seal, which was a must-cultivate divine ability of the past slaying emperors. Could it be that this child actually has the aptitude to kill with a single palm and become an emperor? This kid seems to have realized that the Heaven Seizing Seal he comprehended is not complete. The 7 seals of seizing the heavens, refining the heavens into a palm, turning the palm into a seal. The complete cultivation method of this technique was only in the hands of the Slayer Emperors. In Tong Tian Tower, there was only the elementary cultivation method for this technique. Tong Tian Tower, all the way to heaven, then heaven seizing. The Nether Sea Immortal King smiled in satisfaction and finally closed his eyes, no longer paying attention to the Tower of Babel. The fact that Ning Fan was able to comprehend this seal had already made him very satisfied. It was worth it for him to spend a huge sum of money to open the heaven-reaching tower. Half a day passed, and suddenly, the 42nd level of the pagoda shone with golden light. The expressions of countless immortal old monsters changed. Even many perfected immortal old monsters were slightly shocked. 42nd floor. What kind of trump card did this kid use to be able to kill 2 gold men at the peak of the human profound realm? Could it be that this kid has finally used the god-blasting technique? On the 42nd floor of the heaven-reaching tower, Ning Fan's palm shone with dazzling golden light like a golden sun. The magic power that he had replenished just now was depleted once again. No one would have guessed that he had killed 2 peak human profound realm experts with a single palm strike. His heaven-seizing intent was indeed incomparable to the gold men. The heaven-seizing seal that he displayed was extremely powerful. Heaven-seizing intent. Ning Fan swallowed 2 golden Dao fruits and sat cross-legged on the 42nd floor. After consuming a pill, he rapidly recovered his magic power. He wanted to kill his way to a higher floor with the heavens seizing intent. The difference between the human and ghost realms is a small realm while the life immortal realm is a huge realm. The difference between the early human profound realm and the peak ghost realm is just like the difference between the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm and the second heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. The human profound realm and the ghost profound realm are not 2 different levels. It is difficult for a void fragmentation realm expert to defeat a life immortal realm expert. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.